we still have people coming in, but I will start the meeting informally, and there are a few opening remarks, and then after that, we can start the meeting for real. I've been told that even though I'm amplified, people here still can't hear because of the background noise and talk. Can anybody not hear me? Actually, I shouldn't say that. Can everybody hear me? Okay. As opposed to anybody who can't hear me, please say so. So with that, we already have a quorum, but as I said, we are going to informally do it, but as we do all our town meetings, we should stand and pledge allegiance to the flag, which is here and up here. Please join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. This time I'd like to turn the meeting over to the Select Board Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. At this time, I'd like to introduce Representative Kate Hogan.
Good evening, everyone. I know you're here for your town meeting, but if we could take a moment to recognize Richard T. Haggerty on his 50 years of service to the town of Hudson. Richard Haggerty is a native and lifetime resident of Hudson. Richard T. Haggerty returned to Hudson after graduating from Boston College and Hofstra University School of Law to work at his family's printing business, the Richard T. Haggerty Company of Hudson, and then at several local businesses before joining Hudson Savings Bank, which later became Hudson Avidia Bank. He worked at Avidia for 23 years, returning as an assistant vice president in 2020, and has served as a corporator of the bank since 1981. And Richard T. Haggerty has for 50 years selflessly given his time and energy to the town of Hudson, serving on the Finance Committee for 10 budget cycles before winning the election to the position of town moderator, where he was an essential part of town government for 40 years. He also helped launch Hudson's sesquicentennial celebration and served on its steering committee. In addition to his role in town government, Richard Haggerty contributed to the civic fabric of the Hudson community. He is one of the founders of the Hudson Community Food Bank and serves on its board of directors. He is an active member and former president of the Hudson Historical Society, and over the past 45 years he has been a member and twice served as president of the Hudson Rotary Club. He is also a member and has served as treasurer of the Lewis Dewart Apsley Fund for Aged and Indigent, a charitable foundation that provides financial assistance to people in need. Richard T. Haggerty is viewed as a role model in his community. His decades of distinguished service to the community have been served as an inspiration to all citizens who share his concern for the town of Hudson. This is a resolution passed by the House of Representatives, signed by the Speaker of the House, Ron Mariano, and very humbly signed and with great gratitude for Representative Kate Hogan. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Richard, for all that you've done for the town of Hudson over the last 50 years.
Thanks for coming.
right, so I should have known better because I've followed Kate Hogan a few times on things like this, and this citation I have here pretty much says exactly what she just said. And Kate's a much better public speaker than I am. But obviously, that was from the state. This is from the town. I'm not going to read everything because she had a lot of the details about how long Richard has been the moderator.
Yep.
I know he would love me to ramble on about that, but I'm just going to say now, therefore, we, the Select Board of Hudson, on behalf of the residents of Hudson, do hereby offer our highest commendation to Richard Harity and extend to him our warmest best wishes on his retirement from moderator on this 5th day of May in the year of 2025. And thank you again, Richard, for all the years of your service. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Oh, Mr. Harity, I can't just pass this moment. I want to give you the gift that you probably love, Jeopardy game.
Yes.
And now you can play that and not worry about the time.
That's right. Especially when it's in the form of a question. Thank you.
He wants a picture. He wants the game.
Oh, wait.
He's going to get the game.
Do-da-do, do-da-do. Thank you. I think we're ready to rock and roll. Okay. With that said, thank you very, very much for those sentiments. Everybody says it's an honor and a privilege so often that it is a cliche, but just because it is a cliche does not mean that it's not true. And it is true. It's been an honor and a privilege to be the moderator for Hudson for all these many years. With that, thank you. I should have said someplace along the line, make sure our if all goes well, our new moderator, Michelle Tusignan Dufour, is over there. Please do nothing to discourage her. So, with that said, we will officially start this town meeting. A quorum having been ascertained for this annual town meeting, our town's 160th annual town meeting, this town meeting will now come to order. We have already had the Pledge of Allegiance, so we will not have a second one. And first, another thing, there are some people, I'm sure here, this is their first town meeting, and we welcome you to this, your town meeting. And there are many people here that have been town meetings for many, many years, and we welcome you as well, because this is our town meeting. This is we the people. Actually, in addition to that, I should have had this as preliminary, but I have to thank a lot of people over the years, and I can't spend all the time thanking all of them because we only have the gym rented until midnight. So the first person I want to thank and embarrass is my wife, Mary, sitting right over here. And to sum up, we have a plaque in our house. Happiness is being married to your best friend. Nothing can I add to that. So thank you, Mary, for putting up with me. Another person is need to thank. Over the number of years, Cam Cheslick has been on the sound there. He only gets recognized if the sound goes out. If he does everything right, he doesn't get recognized. So over the years, Cam, thank you. But if you read about what a town meeting is, it's a moderator, a town clerk, and a quorum, and you are the quorum. Over the years, I started out with Ralph Warner, who kept me on the straight and narrow, and then came Dottie Rissa, who was an absolute pro and never got the recognition she deserved. And then I was blessed with our current town clerk, Joan Wardell. Over the last 8 years, you've heard news story after news story, national news, about problems with elections, questions of integrity about public officials. But in the town of Hudson, you never heard that because of people like Joan. So again, thank you for all the years. Since this is the 250th anniversary of the American Revolution, April 1775, many town moderators have prepared remarks, and I've seen some of them, they go on and on and on, and I know you don't want to encourage me to go on and on. And there really isn't enough words, adequate words, that I could compose to encapsulate the last 250 years. We were part of town of Marlborough at the beginning of 1775. So rather than me come up with poor words, I've asked a student from Hudson High School, who's also a registered voter, to come here and give you an address. And as soon as she starts speaking the address, I'm sure you will recognize from the words that this address came from. Josie, where are you? There she is. This is Josie Elder, a student at Hudson High School and a registered voter. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Thank you, Mr. Moderator. There we go. 407 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Now we are engaged in a great civil war, testing whether that nation or any nation so conceived and so dedicated can long endure. We are met on a great battlefield of that war. We have come to dedicate a portion of that field as a final resting place for those who here gave their lives that that nation might live. It is altogether fitting and proper that we should do this. But in a larger sense, we cannot dedicate, we cannot consecrate, we cannot hallow this ground. The brave men, living and dead, who struggled here have consecrated it, far above our poor power to add or detract. The world will little note nor long remember what we say here, but it can never forget what they did here. It is for us, the living, rather, to be dedicated here to the unfinished work which they who fought here have thus far so nobly advanced. It is rather for us to be here dedicated to the great task remaining before us, that from these honored dead we take increased devotion to the cause for which they gave the last full measure of devotion, that we here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain, that this nation, under God, shall have a new birth of freedom, and that government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth. Thank you.
So with that, we'll begin the formal meeting. The town warrant, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, Middlesex Squire Sheriff. To either of the constables of the town of Hudson and the county of Middlesex. I'm reading for, hopefully everybody has a hand warrant. In the name of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, you are hereby directed to notify and warn the inhabitants of the town of Hudson qualified to vote in elections and in town affairs to assemble in the Hudson High School, Brigham Street, in said town on Monday, the 5th day of May in the year 2025 at 7:30 o'clock in the evening, then and there to act on the following articles to wit. And in your hand warrant, there are the 37 articles to be decided by you tonight, and then going on to page 38. And you are also directed to notify and warn said inhabitants to meet at the several designated polling places in their respective precincts in said Hudson, to wit, Precinct 1 and 5, Hudson High School, 69 Brigham Street, Precinct 2, Glen Road Community Center, 4 Glen Road, Precinct 3 and Precinct 4, David J. Quinn Middle School, 201 Manning Street, Precinct 6, Auditorium Town Hall, 78 Main Street, on Monday, May 12th, 2025 at 7 o'clock in the forenoon, then and there to choose by ballot the following town offices for the ensuing year. Select Board, 2 for 3 years, Moderator, 1 for 1 year, School Committee, 2 for 3 years, School Committee, 1 for 1 year to fill a vacancy. Trustees of Susan Cox, Joseph S. Bradley, J.J. Angel, Sarah A. Brown, George E.D. and Abigail E. Wilkins funds, and Martin Joseph Moran III Fund, 1 for 3 years. Trustees of the Susan Cox, Joseph S. Bradley, J.J. Angel, Sarah A. Brown, George E.D. and Abigail Wilkins, Addie E. Cahill, Helen M. Lewis, Mary E. Tacey, Maud A. Whitney, Clara E. Houghton funds, and Martin Joseph Moran, 1 for 1 year to fill a vacancy. Hudson Housing Authority, 1 for 4 years to fill a vacancy. Municipal Light Board, 1 for 3 years. Park Commission, 1 for 3 years. Board of Health, 1 for 3 years. Library Trustees, 1 for 3 years. Planning Board, 2 for 3 years. Cemetery Commission, 1 for 3 years. Constable, 1 for 3 years. And Board of Assessors, 1 for 3 years. Vocational Regional School Committee, 1 for 2 years to fill a vacancy. And ballot question, May 12, 2025. Shall the town of Hudson be allowed to assess an additional $3,950,000 in real estate and personal property taxes for the purpose of funding school and municipal operations for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2025, yes or no? And you are directed to serve this warrant by posting up copies attested by you in the following places: 1 at the post office, 1 at the townhouse, 1 at the office of the town clerk, and 6 other public places in said town, 7 days at least before the time of holding said meeting, and by publication in a newspaper published in said town. Hereof fail not and make due return of this warrant with your doings thereon to the town clerk on or before the time of holding said meeting. Given under our hands the 7th day of April in the year 2025, Scott R. Duplessis, Chair, Judy Congdon, Vice Chair, Stephen C. Sharrock, Clerk, James D. Quinn, and Diane G. Bemis. And the constables return. Constables return for the annual town meeting to be held May 5, 2025. Middlesex Squire Sheriff, April 17, 2025. By virtue of an order issued by the Board of Selectmen on Select Board on April 7, 2025, I did post this warrant on April 17, 2025 in the following public places: 1 at the office of the town clerk, 1 at the post office, 1 at the townhouse, and at 6 other public places in said town, 7 days at least before the time of holding said meeting. Publication was made in the Community Advocate, said newspaper being published in the town of Hudson. Signed, Stephen Dana Bruce, Constable, Town of Hudson. Then, in keeping with a vote of the 1975 town meeting, I will now read the deceased town officers, employees, and board members into the town record. Marion L. Shea, Police Department, Crossing Guard. Doris Freitas, Treasurer's Office Clerk. Nancy R. Fagan, Town Clerk Department, Senior Clerk. Dean Napolitano, DPW Laborer. Jack Lapchuk, Board of Health Sanitarian. William Wilbur Parker, Fire Department Firefighter. Madeline A. Sousa, School Department Teacher. Ronald Allen Sorghum, Zoning Board of Appeals. Hudson Historical District Commission, Historical Commission on Disabilities member. Denise Griffin, Elections Clerk. Francis Frank Murphy, DPW Forestry and Parks. Frederick R. Dusso, Fire Department Fire Chief, Firefighter. David Rocky Zena, School Department Teacher, Coach. Horst Humer, Light and Power GM, Municipal Light Board. Willie L. Banks, Police Department Crossing Guard. Charles E. Hetzler, Cultural Council Board Member. Sandra E. Rapoti, Select Board Member, Conservation Commission Member. As I do before all town meetings, I call to your attention to the fact that the town bylaws are in effect. No voter shall speak more than twice upon any question without first obtaining leave of the meeting, except to correct an error or make an explanation, nor until all others who have not spoken upon the question and desire to do so shall have been given an opportunity therefor. All motions shall be reduced to writing before being submitted to the meeting if required by the moderator or town clerk. No one is to speak unless you are first recognized to do so by the moderator. Please state your name and address before speaking. All questions and comments are to be directed to the town meeting through the moderator. No one is to be addressed in the second person. No one is to engage in personalities, and further, it is the sole determination of the moderator when or if this happens. And obviously, as we go along, if you can't hear, please let us know, because this is only the second time we've used this gym as for a town meeting, and we don't always know if you can't hear unless you speak up. Also, we've reached the capacity for the fire laws, and we should all take note of where the fire exits are. They're here, obviously, any place there's an exit, and obviously there. And if need be, which hopefully it won't, please follow the direction of our public safety officials. With that, I'd like to call upon the chair of the Finance Committee, Sam Caladrano.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Sam Calandra, Chairperson of the Finance Committee. The Finance Committee moves to amend the committee's recommendations for Articles 1, 5, 7, 9, 10, 18, 19, 20, 21, 30, and 33, and pass over these articles until the special town meeting on June 16, 2025, because each of these articles seeks funds from available free cash or the retained earnings of the enterprise funds, and the state has not certified the town's free cash or the retained earnings of the enterprise funds for fiscal year 2025 as of this meeting.
Okay. That's your opening remarks. I haven't really called those. So we will be doing this. There are a number of articles, because the town's free cash position has not been certified, those articles cannot be voted on at this town meeting. We will be getting to those shortly.
Okay.
right?
My apologies, Mr. Moderator. So, again, my name is Sam Calandra. I am the chairperson of the Finance Committee. And briefly, for some of these you who do not know what we do, we provide oversight of all municipal business and finance of the town. We hold public hearings to consider each of the warrant articles that are here before you today. We look at departmental budgets, appropriation requests, and all other municipal questions. And we have the authority to investigate and inspect accounts, books, and management of any town department. And we do that on behalf of you, the townspeople. We make recommendations and reports to the town. We haven't introduced the warrant article yet. The moderator will do that in a moment. But I did want to briefly speak to some factors that you will consider. Mr. Moderator, is this the appropriate time to speak to Articles 3 and 4?
They can't hear you. Could you speak in the microphone?
Mr. Moderator, is this the appropriate time to speak to Articles 3 and 4, or would you like me to wait?
We'll wait.
Okay.
But if you want to have some introductory comments about those two. But
So in a moment, we will be speaking to you about two of the articles that are of keen interest to everybody this evening, Articles 3 and 4.
yeah, you really have to speak directly pull it as close as you can.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. In a moment, we'll be speaking about Articles 3 and 4, and we'll have some factors for you to consider. And we'll be speaking with others on the importance of having a budget approved, whether it's a budget with an override or without an override, as the outcome of this meeting. And I'll leave it at that for the moment. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Gregory, did you want to have opening remarks?
Through you, Mr. Moderator, just a some clarifying information on the free cash situation. So just so folks understand, is it echoing? So folks understand, when we talk about free cash, we're talking about prior year operating surplus. Each year, when we submit our balance sheet to the Department of Revenue, they certify a number in free cash from the prior year, which is the combination of departmental turnbacks as well as revenue collected over budgeted estimates. Normal years, we have our free cash certified in the wintertime from the previous fiscal year. We've had some issues in recent years around booking our revenue, and so we've put into place new financial procedures to tighten this up. And it's just taking us a little bit longer to get there this year. So I don't anticipate this happening again, but any article that uses free cash or retained earnings of the enterprise funds will be passed over and taken up at a June 16th special town meeting.
Thank you. Mr. Duplessis?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I move that the Finance Committee's recommendation, where there is a recommendation, be the main motion before the meeting.
Is that seconded? This is the form we use every year. It helps expedite it. It doesn't solve everything, but it helps expedite the town meeting. So what color are those cards?
Yellow.
Yellow. All those in favor of that motion, please raise your yellow card. All those opposed, please raise your yellow card. You cannot hear? Okay, I'll have to try harder. I'll call for the vote again. The motion, can you, Mr. Duplessis, can you hold the microphone close and state the motion again?
They didn't hear me.
Apparently not.
I move that the Finance Committee's recommendation, where there is a recommendation, be the main motion before the meeting. How's that?
Okay. And I believe that was seconded. So Wherever there is a Finance Committee's recommendation is the starting point, just the starting point for every article. So all in favor of that motion, please raise your yellow card. All those opposed, please raise your yellow card. The motion is carried. It's the vote of the meeting, and I so declare it. Now, beginning at the beginning. Article 1, just, yes. Go ahead. Yes, please.
Mr. Moderator, there's well over 30 seats up here that are open, so if you can't hear, I would recommend that you move forward so that we don't have to do this, because it's going to be a very long meeting if we don't. There's tons of seats up here, so why don't you move forward if you can?
And
Thank
we've
you.
turned the electricity off them, so you don't have to worry about that. So please come down and be part of the meeting. I know it's more comfortable to stand up there, but that because of the sound system limitations, we may be having a recurrent issue with your inability to hear people. And at the same time, I forgot to mention that we try to do the 3 Bs. Be brief, be to the point, and above all, begin when you come to the microphone. And the 4th one, unwritten one, is be nice. So with that now, we will now start with Article 1, where we halfway segued into and begin at the beginning with Article 1, to see if the town will vote to transfer the sum of $1,150 from previously certified and available free cash for the purpose of paying prior year bills for costs incurred in previous fiscal years per General Laws, Chapter 44, Section 64, or take any other action relative thereto. And under Article 1, the Finance Committee unanimously recommends adoption of the subject matter of this article. Mr. Calarandra? No, you can't hear. Can't hear.
Through you, Mr. Moderator, Sam Calandra, Chairperson of the Finance Committee. The Finance Committee moves to amend the committee's recommendations for Articles 1, 5, 7, 9, 10, 18, 19, 20, 21, 30, and 33, and pass over these articles until the special town meeting on June 16, 2025, because each of these articles seeks funds from available free cash or the retained earnings of the enterprise funds, and the state has not certified the town's free cash or the retained earnings of the enterprise funds for fiscal year 2025 as of this meeting.
Is that seconded? Second. Okay, this is a motion to amend their own motion. So we have to take actually 2 separate votes. Is there anything to be said on the motion to amend? Anybody? So, nothing to be said? I'll call for the vote. All those in favor of the multiple motions to amend, please raise your yellow card. All those opposed, please raise your yellow card. The motion is carried and so voted. And now I will take officially my main motion as just amended. All those in favor of the main motion just amended, please raise your yellow card. All those opposed, please raise your yellow card. The motion is carried. It's the vote of the meeting, and I so declare it. Now, under Article 2, if the town will vote to transfer a sum of money from previously certified and available free cash and appropriate said sum to various departmental appropriations for fiscal 2025 or take any other action relative thereto. And under Article 2, the Finance Committee has deferred action on this article until town meeting. Sam?
Through you, Mr. Moderator, Sam Calandra, Chairperson of the Finance Committee. There being no recommendations for Articles 2 and 6 by the Finance Committee, the committee moves to pass over these articles until the special town meeting on June 16, 2025, because each of these articles seeks funds from available free cash or the retained earnings of the enterprise funds, and the state has not certified the town's free cash or the retained earnings of the enterprise funds for fiscal year 2025 as of this meeting.
So, as he's just said, there's similar wording concerning Article 6. So if nobody objects, we will now take Article 2 and Article 6 at the same time. And this is, I'll treat this as the main motion from the Finance Committee, that both articles be passed over. Do we all understand what we're going to be doing? No? Yes. So now I'll call for the vote on that motion. All those in favor, please raise your yellow card. All those opposed, please raise your yellow card. The motion is carried on both articles. It's the vote of the meeting, and I so declare it. Article 3, to see if the town will vote to appropriate a sum of money by taxation, by transfer from available funds, by borrowing, or any combination thereof, for the operation and maintenance of town departments for the fiscal year July 1, 2025 through June 30, 2026, and that such sums be expended for such purposes under the direction of the respective town officers, boards, and committees, provided that this vote shall not take effect and be deemed null and void if the vote taken pursuant to Article 4 of the warrant for this annual town meeting and the associated override ballot question vote are both approved or take any action relative thereto. And under Article 3, the Finance Committee recommends the adoption of the subject matter of this article by a 6-2 vote. I shouldn't have read the quantum of vote. So the recommendation, and as we do every year, we take the budget section by section, always acting on the FinCom's recommendation, which is the far right on each page. This is what we do every year to expedite the situation. Some towns, believe it or not, they go through every line item. Somebody goes, oh. That's why they go 3 or 4 nights. So I asked somebody, we can do that in the town of Hudson if you want. I don't think we do. So anyway, with that given, I'll start with the first section, the select board. Either of those two that anybody wants to set aside. If not, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor of the FinCom's recommendation, please raise your yellow card. All those opposed, please raise your yellow card. It's the vote of the meeting. I so declare it. Line items 3 through 12, Executive Assistance Office. Any of those that anybody wants held aside? If not, again, a call for the vote. All those in favor of the FinCom's recommendation, please raise your yellow card. All those opposed, please raise your yellow card. It's the vote of the meeting, and I so declare it. Finance Department, line items 13 and 14. Anything to be said on those? Not, again, call for the vote. All those in favor, please raise your yellow card. All those, please raise your yellow card. The motion is carried. It's the vote of the meeting, and I so declare it. 15 and 16, IT Department, either of those two. Sir, yes.
Line item 16.
16, okay. That leaves 15. Anything to be said on line item 15? I'll call for the vote. All those in favor of line item 15, raise your yellow card. All those opposed, please raise your yellow card. The motion is carried. The vote of the meeting, I so declare it. Line item 16 has been set aside. Sir, you want to speak on it?
Mr. Moderator, Andy Vickery, 11 Primary. I just wanted to ask, that's a 46% increase, 166,000. Could someone just give some context of why the 46% increase?
Mr. Gregory?
Thank you.
Anybody?
Sure. Through you, Mr. Moderator,
Yeah.
the primary driver for the increase in the expense to this department is for Tyler Technologies, which is to support the new Munis implementation.
Okay. Anything else? Excuse me? Can you repeat the answer?
The moderator, the primary driver for the increase in expense to the IT operating budget is for the contract with Tyler Technologies, which is the parent company of Munis, the new software, financial software platform that we're implementing in Hudson.
Okay. Anything else to be said? If not, call for the vote on line item 16. All those in favor, please raise your yellow card. All those opposed, please raise your yellow card. The motion is carried. It's the vote of the meeting, and I so declare it. Line items 17 and 18. Anything to be said on either of those two? Don't you dare. I protect myself. So if not, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please raise your yellow card. All those opposed, please raise your yellow card. The motion is carried. It's the vote of the meeting, and I so declare it. Line items 19 through 26, boards and commissions. Yes, yes.
Line 20.
20. Any other of those line items? If not, I'll call for line items 19 through 26, excluding line item 20. All those in favor of the FinCom's recommendation, raise your yellow card. All those opposed, please raise your yellow card. The motion is carried. The vote of the meeting, and is so declare it. Now we return to the Finance Committee, line item 20. Yeah.
Andy Vickery, 11 Primary. So line 20 goes up from $600 to $100,600. Can someone just speak to why the increase of $100,000? Thank you.
Yes. Mr. Gregory?
Through you, Mr. Moderator, normally the town meeting acts on a standalone warrant article to raise and appropriate funds for the reserve fund, a fund that is exclusively under the jurisdiction of the Finance Committee. I moved that article, or the funding from that article, into the operating budget just for the sake of efficiency.
Okay. Okay. Anything else to be said on line item 20? Again, if not, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, raise your yellow card. All those opposed, raise your yellow card. The motion is carried. It's the vote of the meeting, and I so declare it. Line items 27 and 28, Police Department. Either of those two. If not, call for the vote. All those in favor of the FinCom's recommendation, raise your yellow card. All those opposed, please raise your yellow card. The motion is carried. It's the vote of the meeting, and I so declare it. 29 and 30, the Fire Department. Either of those two. If not, again, call for the vote. All those in favor of the FinCom's recommendation, raise your yellow card. All those opposed, raise your yellow card. The motion is carried. It's the vote of the meeting, and I so declare it. Line items 31 and 32, Inspections Department. Either of those two. Any questions? If not, again, a call for the vote. All those in favor? Oh, excuse me. Somebody had a question? Yes. Can you find a microphone?
Mr. Moderator.
Yes.
Tom McCoy from 25 Richardson Road. I was just questioning, what is the inspection department? Can someone give me a brief description of it? We are talking...
So which one, you're actually questioning 31?
31 and 32. I just wondering what the inspection department is and what they do.
They do inspections. Does somebody have a question? Tom? Yes.
Sure. The department is managed by a building commissioner who enforces the state building code. So that's around permits for new construction, alteration of premises, and the like.
One more question. In one of the articles, I think it's Article 5, no, excuse me, it's later on. It has inspection fees for these different departments. Is that included with that?
Mr. Gregory?
Through you, Mr. Moderator, no, the inspection fees are collected and placed into a revolving fund.
Okay. Anything else to be said on either line item 31 or 32? If not, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor of the FinCom's recommendation? All those opposed, please raise your yellow card. The motion is carried. It's the vote of the meeting, and I so declare it. Line items 33 through 36, DPW. Any of those that anybody wants to question, set aside. If not, I'll call for the vote on the FinCom's recommendation. Oh, yes.
Marilyn McKellar, Rock Avenue.
Yeah, you have to speak in the microphone. Sorry.
Well, I'll bring it down about 4 feet.
I know.
Marilyn McKellar, Rock Avenue. What is this raise to 2.4 million in line number 35?
Which of those line items through
Line 35 jumped up to 2416451.
Okay, so we want to set that one aside.
Yes, please.
Okay. Any of the remaining, anybody wants set aside? If not, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor of the FinCom's recommendation, please raise your yellow card. All those opposed, please raise your yellow card. The motion is carried, and it's the vote of the meeting, and I so declare it. Now we return to line item 35. Ma'am, would you like to? You have the floor.
I would like to know the detail of why that has increased so much.
Why it is increasing?
Oh, yeah, what is that allotment for?
Public Works
It's a
personnel?
600,000?
Mr. Gregory?
So line item 35 is for personnel or salaries and wages for the DPW employees. So those that figure will increase with contractual, a placeholder for a contractual increase in the union contract, as well as an increase of 1% for the non-union employees for in this department for fiscal 26.
Okay.
It's actually an amount that's going down from fiscal 25. So the number for fiscal 26 is $2,399,414.
Okay. Anything else to be said on line item 35? All those in favor of the FinCom's recommendation, raise your yellow card. All those opposed, please raise your yellow card. The motion is carried, the vote of the meeting, and I so declare it. Line items 37 and 38, Board of Health. Either of those two. Again, if not, a call for the vote. All those in favor, please raise your yellow card. All those opposed, please raise your yellow card. The motion is carried. It's the vote of the meeting, and I so declare it. Line items 39 and 40, Council on Aging. Either of those two. Again, if not, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please raise your yellow cards. All those opposed, please raise your yellow cards. The motion is carried. It's the vote of the meeting, and I so declare it. Line items 41 and 42, Veteran Services. Either of those two, anybody wants to question? If not, again, a call for the vote. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Your yellow card, or your option. All those opposed, your option. The motion is carried. It's the vote of the meeting, and I so declare it. Line items 43 and 44, Library Department. Either of those two. Again, if not, call for the vote. All those in favor, please raise your yellow card. All those opposed, please raise your yellow card. The motion is carried. It's the vote of the meeting, and I so declare it. Our line items 45 and 46, Recreation. Either of those two. Again, if no questions, call for the vote. All those in favor, please raise your yellow card. All those opposed, please raise your yellow card. The motion is carried. It's the vote of the meeting, and I so declare it. Line item 47, anything to be said about debt service? Again, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please raise your yellow card. All those opposed, please raise your yellow card. The motion is carried. It's the vote of the meeting, and I so declare it. Line item 48, pensions. Anything to be said under pensions? If not, again, call for the vote. All those in favor, please raise your yellow card. All those opposed, please raise your yellow card. The motion is carried. It's the vote of the meeting, and I so declare it. Line items 49 and 50, insurance. Either of those two. Again, if not, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please raise your yellow card. All those opposed, please raise your yellow card. The motion is carried. It's the vote of the meeting, and I so declare it. Line item 51, Assabet Valley School. Anything to be said on that? Again, if not, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please raise your yellow card. The motion is, all opposed, please raise your yellow card. The motion is carried. It's the vote of the meeting, and I so declare it. Line items 52 and 53, Hudson Schools. Either of those two. If not, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please raise your yellow card. All those opposed, please raise your yellow card. The motion is carried. It's the vote of the meeting, and I so declare it. Line item 54, school transportation. Anything to be questioned on that? Mr. McCoy?
Mr. Moderator, I was reading in the, one of the proposition 2.5 questions and answers. There's a $300 per student district-wide charge per student. And I'm looking at item 54 in both Articles 3 and 4, it's the same amount. But if we pass the override, there's no $300 charge per student. Can someone explain that to me, please?
So, yes.
Mr. Moderator, through you, my name is Dan Gale. I'm the Director of Finance for the school department. When we were creating the numbers for the budget book, we hadn't settled, with the school committee hadn't settled what we were going to do with fees. So we just have that in as the same number, but we would implement bus fees. We expect it to bring in around $260,000, and then we would offset that line with that. So we would spend less money in budget B on transportation, but it's in that way because we hadn't voted at the time when this warrant was produced.
Okay. Mr. McCoy?
Mr. Moderator, I would like to ask anybody from the traffic control study group or council or committee, has there been any traffic studies done what would cause the effect if people have to bring their children to school because they couldn't afford the $300?
I don't know if we have an official traffic study commission. We have an internal traffic committee.
That would be
but
fine.
I don't know if that issue has ever been raised. If somebody has an answer to that, maybe they can volunteer it. But I don't know if that's a question we can answer at this time.
Mr. Moderator, to know if the police department would have personnel or expenses in their budget to cover monitoring the schools if the parents have to increase the traffic around the schools?
I don't know if the police chief or Mr. Gregory. I would have to speculate that that issue hasn't been raised within the school committee, the police department's budget. Well, oh, chief, there you are. Mr. McCoy, can you repeat the question?
Mr. Moderator, yes, I can. Has the police department, do they have the personnel or the money in their budget to cover if we have to have traffic control around the schools because of the $300 charge?
Chief? Yes.
We currently cover vacancies, locations when the crossing guards are not available. But we do not have the staff to do that full-time.
Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Moderator, point of order.
Oh, yes, sir.
I have a question for line 54. This is increased by 50%. Why?
Can you repeat that?
Okay, line 54, school transportation, increase is by 50%. Why?
Okay, that's just a question, it's not a point of order. But does anybody from the school committee, why it increased the amount from one fiscal year to another? Sir?
Sure.
Mr.
Steve
Smith,
Smith, chairperson of the school committee. This year coming up, we had gone out for a new busing contract and costs went up by 50%. So it was $1 million hit to the budget just based on the contract we received. There was one bidder, and that's increasing fees for busing are common across the state right now, significant increases.
Okay. Mr. McCoy?
Mr. Moderator, I have a general question to ask on the motion. Can we put in a request that there will be no bus fees if we accept this $3,514,630 amount?
I think that might be beyond. All we're doing is appropriating money. How it is directed would be under the purview of the school committee and the school department.
Thank you.
Anything else to be said on line item 54, school transportation? If not, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor of the FinCom's recommendation, raise your yellow card. All those opposed, please raise your yellow card. The motion is carried. It's the vote of the meeting, and I so declare it. Now, the big one. Article 4, to see if the town will vote to appropriate a sum of money by taxation, by transfer from available funds, by borrowing, or any combination thereof, for the operation and maintenance of town departments for the fiscal year July 1, 2025 through June 30, 2026, and that such sums be expended for such purposes under the direction of the respective town offices, boards, and committees, provided that such appropriation shall be contingent on the passage of a Proposition 2.5 general operating override by ballot pursuant to Chapter 59, Section 21CG of the general laws for the purpose of funding school and municipal operations or take any other action relative thereto. And under Article 4, the Finance Committee recommends the adoption of the subject matter of this article. Since we have just reviewed it, the entire budget, this is the override budget, we will vote on it as a whole, but if there's any line items anybody wishes to hold out, we will hold them out as an amendment and then take a vote on it as a whole. Mr. Wachowski.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Greg Wachowski, 6 Wood Street. General question on the overall article of both 3 and 4. They both mention borrowing, which usually requires a 2/3 vote. Now, in Article 3, there were no line items that had more than 7 objections, so it's moot at that point. But if we're going to borrow anything, does it require a 2/3 vote? Thank you.
Mr. Gregory.
Through you, Mr. Moderator, I drafted the wording for Articles 3 and 4 in the more traditional manner that most towns use for their operating budgets, because I was anticipating that Article 3 would require the use of free cash in addition to taxation. As it turns out, Both articles will be 100% raised from taxation, so there's no borrowing for either Article 3 or Article 4.
Okay. So, is there any? Yes, Mr. McCoy.
Mr. Moderator, I was looking at the Proposition 2.5 override question and answer, and they come out and they stated that the average single-family asset value was like $586,000. The tax value for that home would be $8,141, and the average increase would be $480.95. I did a little calculation on how much it would actually cost pre-tax, and it come out to $683 per taxpayer increase. So I just want to let the people know that. Thank you.
Okay. Since this is a comprehensive move by the town, does the school committee wish to speak on it first, or Mr. Gregory?
Through you, Mr. Moderator, simply put, the town needs an operating budget on July 1st of this year, regardless of the outcome of next Monday's Proposition 2.5 ballot question. Article 3 anticipates that the ballot question next Monday will not pass, and there are reductions to the municipal side of the budget of about $325,000 across 7 departments. Article 4 is the operating budget that contemplates a successful override vote, which, if it passes, would restore $325,000 in positions, 5.6 FTE, and would add $2,050,000 to the Hudson Public School operating budget. So, and the final thing I'll say, Mr. Moderator, is it's not my position to tell you how to vote on Article 3 or 4 or any of the articles for that matter. But I would ask you to keep in mind that the town does need an operating budget to begin the fiscal year on July 1st, which is why there are 2 operating budgets before you this evening.
Okay, thank you. Mrs. Smith?
I hope it's okay that I grab that. Through you, Mr. Moderator,
Yes.
I just want to share a little bit of information, and I apologize that my back's to you. I know that this is a big decision for everyone, and a lot of information is available and out there. I just want to make folks aware that hopefully when you came in, you grabbed one of these colored sheets, and just so you know, if you have questions after tonight and you want more information, we've included a couple of things here specific to the school budget. So there's a QR code in the upper right that links to the school's budget book, which is a glorious read of about 120 plus pages of information about the schools and kind of what's going on with the budget, a narrative around that, so feel free to take a look at that. The other thing is on the back of the sheet, there's also a second QR code. We really want to be transparent with folks. If you have questions, please feel free to reach out. That QR code goes to a form where you can submit questions, and we're going to try to get back to as many people as we can. Hopefully we can get back to everyone, but we want to make sure we're providing the information that's needed for people to make an informed decision. Having said that, I just want to hit on a few key points. Some have come up already, but as I mentioned, I'm Steve Smith. I'm the chair of the school committee. This is a 7-member board of residents that are elected by the townspeople to oversee the schools. The primary responsibilities are around creating policy for the district and maintaining that policy. In addition to that, it's oversight of the superintendent, whether he likes it or not. We have to watch him. And then the third piece is the budget, which obviously is a big decision that's being made in the coming week. So I want to talk a little bit about the budget and just kind of the journey we've taken to get to where we are today. Originally, we had anticipated that there would be a $4.4 million budget gap. earlier in the budget cycle, we did some work to try to minimize that as much as possible, knowing we were going to go to the taxpayers asking for additional funding. So we were able to cut roughly $1.1 million from that ask to reduce the gap to $3.3 million. So that's kind of where the school has landed with the override number portion for the school. So I just want to call that out. A couple of key factors that contributed to the gap that I just want to make people aware of, again, just so you're aware of the facts, is one of the drivers of this. There are a few main drivers. One has to do with state aid and state funding for public schools. So the way the formula works is the state gives increased funding each year. Part of that formula is based on inflation. There were 2 years recently where inflation was very high. The state caps their contribution at 4.5%, but inflation was between 7 and 8% 2 years. And that resulted in the Hudson Public Schools having to absorb roughly $1.2 million in expenses. No additional services, we had to absorb that expense. Another one we hit on a few minutes ago was busing. Our busing costs have gone up $1 million, and we don't have a ton of control over that, and that is common across Massachusetts, that busing costs are going up significantly. Another one that's gone up a lot is out-of-district placement. So I don't know if everyone's aware, but we try to service as many students as we can in our own schools. There are cases where we can't provide the services that are required for students within our schools, so we have to send them out of district to get the proper services that they are required to receive by law. And part of what happened there was the state approves funding increases for those out-of-district placements, and they approved a 14% increase without sufficient funding for the town to cover that increase. So there was about an $800,000 gap there that had to be filled also. So those are a few main drivers that fall within the school budget. There's another piece of this where charter schools impact the funding that's available to the town. So this is money that goes to the town. But in theory, if that weren't going to charter schools, it would potentially come to the Hudson Public Schools. And there was an increase to Hudson, or will be an increase of 17%, or $620,000 going to charter schools in the coming year. So with those, a lot of drivers of cost. This year we did, for this school year, we did work to avoid requesting an override for funding for this year, and we were able to do that because we had some reserve funds that were available from a school choice account that was able to offset the difference, the budget gap. But those funds are essentially gone. There's going to be a little bit left to carry over, but it won't be nearly enough to cover the expenses that need to be covered. So that's something that is no longer there for us to lean on. And just, I want to kind of just state this, that this is a statewide problem. This is ultimately going to be a decision we as residents need to determine if we want to prioritize the needs of the town right now, and if the town people don't want to, that's a decision they make. But I will point out other school districts in the area, for example, Marlborough is requesting from their mayor an 11% increase next year. Assabet has an 11% increase. Hudson, with a passed override, will have a 1% increase. With a failed override, it will be a negative 3% change in the budget. And just one other kind of point, sorry, I'm taking a little bit of time, but just want to pass this on. So in terms of overrides, I know no one wants them. I don't want to pay more taxes. I know people who wants to. But Hudson has done an extraordinary job avoiding having to go for an override. It's been 30 to 35 years since an override has passed in Hudson. And all the towns around us have had overrides that have passed in that time. Just a point to consider. And I do want to talk a little bit about what we're trying to do to avoid this, because I know the question I get is, well, if we do this, how do we avoid it moving forward? And some of the things we're trying to pursue is, one area is we want to do a space analysis of the school's buildings to determine if we may be able to eliminate a building. I'm not sure if folks are aware, but Apsley Street, which is the administration building, is extremely old, in bad shape. One of the things this analysis could determine, I can't guarantee it, but it could determine that we could move the administration to one of the other buildings that's within the district's portfolio. In that case, we could do away with the admin building. Taxpayers wouldn't have to pay for any type of replacement, and the ongoing maintenance of that building would also not be a concern anymore. Another piece that I just want to talk about real quick is new growth in the town. So Intel and Bruin Road are the two kind of new growth drivers that come to mind when we think about areas that could drive new growth and new tax revenue in the town. And those two areas we expect could be developed within the next 5 years. We feel like with an override, we can get through to a point where that new tax revenue would be available, and we would not need to come back to the townspeople for an override anytime in the near future anyway. And then just so folks are aware, the school committee has been doing some work to try to drive additional state aid. There are a few areas we focused. We've had Representative Hogan and Senator Eldridge to our meetings recently, and there were a few things we were advocating for. I'll kind of group a few of them into one area, which is really fixing the inflation problem where the state didn't cover all the inflation expenses. That was one area. And then the other was around changing the funding formula for charter schools, which would change in a way that it would benefit the towns who feed into charter schools. So those are some of the things we've done to try to avoid this moving forward. I'm personally confident that the new growth, the facilities study that would be done would help us avoid another override anytime soon. For what it's worth, that's my opinion based on what I know, being involved for 9 years. So with that, I do just want to hand it over to the superintendent, Brian Regan, to share a little bit about the impact the override will have, both budgets, so folks, again, are aware of what's going to happen based on how we vote as a town.
Thank you, Steve. Through you. Oop.
Excuse me, it had to be a I'm going to recognize you, but beforehand we knew that it had to be a comprehensive presentation by the school department, and Mr. Smith is first and Mr. Reagan, Superintendent Reagan is second. After that, we'll call on you, sir.
Thank you. Through you, Mr.
And the people out there, too.
Through you, Mr. Moderator. I'm Brian Regan, 21 Alberta Drive, Superintendent of Schools. Thank you, Steve, for providing that information. I just want to close by talking about, at a high level, the impact that we would see in the schools should the override fail. I want to reiterate that to stand before you and ask for an override, as a resident myself, I recognize that that's a big ask. And so we worked hard this fall and winter to reduce the overall school budget by $1.1 million, which is a heavy task to do, but it's the right thing to do to make sure that the school department is right-sized for the students and their needs in town. That was the elimination of 12 positions in the district, which is a significant portion of about roughly 375 to 400 positions in the district, 4 at the administrative level and 8 at the instructional level. And we took advantage of some retirements, we looked at enrollments and saw where we could tighten our belts, and we eliminated those positions. A failed override would require the elimination of overall 40 positions at the end of the day. We would see that happen over the course of 2 fiscal years. We've already reduced those 12. If the override passes, they don't return, and we would have an additional number of positions on top of that, additional 28 positions over 2 years for a total of roughly 40 positions. Those positions that will be eliminated, if you just think of programs that we offer, I'll take the high school for example. We have a program in biomedical science, we have a program in engineering, we have a program in early childhood education. These are things that provide opportunities for students beyond high school. And when we tighten our belts more by eliminating those positions in a failed override, we would need to eliminate teaching positions, dedicate the teachers we have remaining to the core academics, and lose programs like the ones I just described. At the elementary school, we would see increased class sizes in the second fiscal year, As I mentioned, those 28 positions will be spread out and reduced over fiscal 26 and 27. And fiscal 27 right now has 8 elementary sections slated for reduction in a failed override scenario. And that would bring class sizes at the elementary level to roughly between 26 and 28 students per classroom. So it's important to note that this override is about opportunity. It's about what this community feels about education and how education reflects on this community, and how the values of our homes are impacted by the quality of our schools. And we have an excellent school district in Hudson, and as Steve mentioned, it's been over 3 decades since we've been in this position where we've had this sort of perfect storm of circumstances coming together around the items that you will see laid out in this 2-sided document. And I'll just close by asking and reminding folks of 2 things. There are blue papers that are papered around the gym, and there's some out in the lobby. There are 2 QR codes on that. Number 1 is the budget book. We ask you to review that. We really want to be transparent. And number 2, the second code is for the questions. Please send them our way. We want you to be informed. I can't tell you which way to vote, but I'd like you to go to the ballot box with the information you need to make the choice that's right for you. So we just ask you to engage with us and ask those questions so that we can give you factual information that helps you make that decision.
Sir?
That's good. Sven Mosdes, 51 Holt Street. I just had a question of clarification. You said that each...
You're directing that to Mr. Gregory?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Each department would be reduced by $375,000 if the override were to fail, or $325,000?
Mr. Gregory?
Through you, Mr. Moderator,
Yes.
the reductions on the municipal side in Article 3 total approximately $325,000.
Per department?
Total, across all the departments, the municipal side.
Okay. And then for the schools, it would be what reduction?
Well, through you, Mr. Moderator, the presentation was already made that the school department has made reductions leading up to this budget. So those reductions have already been made.
Right. So if the override passes, the school gets 3.3, and then the essential services get 600,000.
Through you, Mr. Moderator, that's not quite correct. The override, if it passes, will increase the school department's budget by $2,050,000 because the override will be raised in increments over multiple fiscal years, not all in fiscal 26.
Okay. Very well.
As part of the overall presentation, since you want to speak, oh, well, we have people out there. So, sir, next in line, state your name and address.
Matt Rogovitz, 22 Collins Drive. I believe your name was Steve, who spoke before Mr. Superintendent.
Mr. Smith, yes.
So you answered my first 2 questions very well, thank you. I was wondering how Hudson got into this situation and what Hudson plans on doing to prevent it going forward. I got those answers, thank you. The third question I had was, does the override just count for this current fiscal year if we vote yes as a town, or does it go into 2 years, 3 years? How long does the override last, or is it forever?
Mr. Gregory?
Through you, Mr. Moderator, an override, a Proposition 2.5 override is always a permanent increase in the town's levy limit. In this case, in Hudson, because we had a significantly higher new growth number that was realized not that long ago, the intent is to raise $3.95 million, the total override request, over at least 3 fiscal years, which smooths out the impact on the taxpayer.
Thank you.
Okay. And I believe there was somebody else also standing there, sir.
Mr. Moderator, Rodney Frias, 7 Silver Oak Road, lifelong resident of Hudson, Massachusetts. Couple things. The Intel thing, that's our biggest resource that we could have utilized. We would not be sitting here talking about this conversation today. And it's a big neglect from this town. It's a shameful. The infrastructure, everything is there for us to utilize that property. And it needs to be utilized. Nobody is carrying that conversation. I just want everybody to think about that, so when you vote for that, think about this is the consequence that we have resulted. Number 2, the question, I don't know who answers this one, but the dispensaries generate tax money. I thought it was specifically for the school system. How much of that money has really been generated for the town of Hudson? And lastly, we all voted for the millionaire's tax. That vote is supposed to be coming to the next session after July 1st. Should that money become available, what happens to the surplus money that we vote on today for the override? Because we know the towns don't give taxes back to their townspeople. That's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
Mr. Gregory, to make an explanation.
Through you, Mr. Moderator, I have comments for the first 2 questions or comments that were made. The first was relative to the Intel property. There is active dialogue going on between the town officials and the developer, the new owner, National Development, as they seek to repurpose that parcel, that very important parcel. So those discussions are ongoing. In response to the second question about the marijuana establishments, the town receives excise tax revenue every year from the sale of products from those establishments that come into the general fund. By law, they need to come directly into the general fund. The town had been receiving host community impact fees from these establishments, but a couple of years ago, the marijuana lobby in Boston prevailed, and the state legislature enacted legislation that was very favorable to these establishments and not favorable to the town. So that revenue, that host community impact fee revenue, has largely gone away and will be phasing out in the years to come.
Okay. Sir?
Very much. My name is Alan Goldsworthy. I live at 9A Autumn Drive off of Reed Road, and my question has to be directed to through you, sir, regarding the talk about the educational system. In a recent presentation, we were advised at Quail Run that there's a positive provision to the school system from the charter schools, that more students were coming to us than we were paying to go away. So if that's true, why was it presented tonight as being something we need to have in the budget? It's a plus, not a minus. Number 2, we also revealed in that meeting that in the last 3 years there have been positive things in the budget, that if they had a plan anticipating these issues, that we'd not need this override. And they were not addressed. It's not in the presentation. Thank you very much.
Okay. And who did you want that directed to?
The school board.
The school board. Mr. Smith?
Sure, Steve Smith, Chair of the School Committee. In terms of the charter school, there are two charter schools are one thing and then school choice is another. I believe what may be referred to here as charter schools is actually school choice. We have net positive school choice funds coming in and students coming in. For charter schools, we have students going out. So they're two different things.
Okay. Okay,
So I should clarify in terms
Yes.
of cost. So with charter schools, we pay out. With school choice, it depends if you have more students coming in versus going out, and it's $5,000 per student going in or out. So basically, we have net more coming in with more money coming in. It's roughly $1.3 million, $1.1 to $1.3 million.
Mr. Calandra? You-
Melandra, Chairperson of the Finance Committee. The committee would like the voters to consider a number of factors as they make their personal decision to vote Article 4 this evening.
Can you hear him?
And then vote at town election next Monday. So town meeting must pass an operating budget this evening to fund 2026 operations with or without an override. That's something that needs to happen this evening. If the override does not pass, and some of this is a bit of a recap from what you've already heard, then the Article 3 budget without an override will fund operations. If the override does pass at town election, then the Article 4 budget that we haven't voted on yet this evening, with an override, will fund our operations. We need one of those two budgets to fund our operations. So a person tonight could vote to approve both Article 3 and 4 at town meeting, and later vote at town election to pass or not pass the override. The decision of which budget is implemented will be in the hands of the electorate at town election. Does that make sense to everybody? Town election is deciding the override. It should decide the override. Approval of both Article 3 and 4 at town meeting guarantees that a budget will be in place to fund operations regardless of the override. So those are kind of global overarching things to consider as you make the decision on how you will vote personally. Other considerations are that the structural issues that were referred to by Mr. Smith and Mr. Gregory with the town budget and the school budget, they will remain irrespective of any override and must still be addressed in the future. And there's plans to do that, as you've heard. Future budgets must continue to consider the impact of tax increases on our wide-ranging town demographics. And schools must continually be evaluated with respect to right-sizing their infrastructure, as we have heard the plan is to do. And those are our facilities and organizational structures that are essential and necessary for the schools to function. All right? But the town must also consider balancing competing priorities with our limited resources. We're going to have to address this with or without an override in the future, such as capital improvements, culture and recreation, human services, general government, public safety, public works and enterprises, and our other liabilities such as health insurance, pensions, and so on and so forth. So I will leave you with those considerations to consider as you vote this evening on Article 4 and next week at town election. Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator.
Good. Sir?
Thank you, Moderator. David Cashel, 54 Wilkins Street. First, want to congratulate the superintendent and Mr. Smith on being advocates for the school system. Thank you very much for answering a few of the questions that I already would have had. More specifically right now, though, what I'd like to address is the increase in faculty over the last 15 years. While there has been a dramatic decrease in student population, are we really, when we're talking about right-sizing, which is something we absolutely need to do and something we should have done a decade ago, not now, it's important to realize that we had a footprint that supported more bodies through our school system with less faculties in 2010 than what we have now. Are we looking forward to the next 5 years because we know what the student population is going to be? They're already here. We can't magically make more one-year-olds. Are we looking at this to make sure that we don't fall into another override situation in the next 3 years, half a decade, 10 years? Are we really looking at the nationwide trends of population decline across Western civilization? This is not just a problem that Hudson faces. This is globally. We know the data. This is napkin math. What are we going to do as a town? How many more overrides are we going to approve before we address the situation that we just don't have the need because there aren't the kids to push through the system? So the closing of Apsley Street and right-sizing is just step one. I think we really need to address the increase in faculty versus student ratio that's already been happening, or somebody needs to stand up and just say, hey, between 2000 and 2010, our school system was not good enough. It was garbage. We weren't servicing the students well enough, and now we think we are. Nobody in this town has ever wanted to admit that statement, so obviously right now what we have is an overstaffing, an over-faculty problem, and an over-space problem that needs to be seriously addressed as our student population continues to decrease year over year over year. This is not going away. We need to get in front of this right now. Thank you.
Dr. Reagan, to make an explanation.
Brian Regan, 21 Alberta Drive, Superintendent of Schools. Through you, Mr. Moderator. I hear that question, and we have been working to address this at several presentations over the past year. I just want to make a couple of notes. For the last 2 years, we have been working to reduce instructional positions in the district based on enrollment. So I mentioned earlier that we had 8 instructional positions, well, 7 instructional positions specifically, that were reduced in the FY26 budget based on enrollment needs. A math teacher at the high school, for example, a special education teacher at the high school, a special education teacher at the middle school. These are just a few of the examples of positions that we realized that we could reduce based on the population of students in front of us in the enrollment. The other thing that I want to address is staffing versus enrollment is not a simple mathematical equation. You don't simply say we have we can't simply say if enrollment goes down by 20% or 10%, then staffing goes down by 20% or 10%. We have to look at the needs of the students in front of us. So we may have seen, no, not may, we have seen a significant enrollment decrease over the last 10 years, but we've also seen a significant increase in the needs of our students. In the one-page handout, if you want to look, there is an item, which number was it, Marcia? Number 3 shows the increase in high-need students, and those are students in a community who have disabilities. Those are students who are English learners. Those are students who have social-emotional needs. Those are students that are socially, economically disadvantaged. These students need different resources. So if I have fewer first graders, I could have fewer first grade teachers. But I might have more students with disabilities or more students who need English learner services in that school, so I need teachers to support those students in that way. So it's not that we can't continue to right size. It's not that we aren't going to continue to make sure that we are reducing where we can. That is my commitment to you as a superintendent of schools. It's just not as simple as it seems, and I don't say that to say you should understand that. Schools are complex places. We're not factories. We're not dealing with a product that is being boxed out and sent to customers. These are children who have a variety of needs. And it is our responsibility as a community to provide them with those needs, provide them with those services that meet their needs.
Good. Mr. Massa?
Andy Massa, 15 Michigan Drive, Hudson, Massachusetts. Excuse me. I've been a resident of Hudson for 50 years. My kids have gone through the Hudson schools. It seems that the only solution we have to the school problem is to spend more money. I don't believe that's the case. Given that the enrollment has declined by 17% in the last 10 years, I think there's surplus space and there's surplus resources that could be reduced. I'm greatly disappointed in the superintendent of schools talking about action to be taken. It appears to me the action should have been taken as much as 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 3 years ago. I think we, the taxpayers of Hudson, pay about $20,000 a student a year. I'm not exactly sure of that, but that's my estimate. And a $2 million house in Hudson, one of the new houses, is likely to have 3 or 4 students in our classrooms. That's $80,000. That's not as much money as they pay in taxes. So almost any new student in Hudson is going to cost us more money. I think the difference that I have with many of the people here tonight, they want the best school for their children that money can buy. And what I want is the best school for our children that we can afford. And by my calculation, there's about a $4 to $6 million difference between those two positions. I'd like to speak for a moment about Intel. Regretfully, I was on the planning board when we kicked Intel, or kicked the warehouse out of Hudson. I've been told, this isn't a fact, I've been told that that site, as soon as it was opened, would have generated $4 million in taxes. And as I recall, being on the planning board at that time, there was no discussion about the tax impact of kicking that site out of Hudson. That was a gross mistake. We now have NIMBYs, not in my backyard, that live adjacent to that site. They don't want anything there. That's not correct. So my challenge is, how can we get a site in there with the local residents supporting it? I don't know the answer to that. There's some question about future state aid for schools. Let's see, what else? We're thinking about a new administration building for the schools. There's a lot of dynamics going on with the Hudson schools. And I don't know that this override is going to solve a problem or create a bigger problem. I'm going to oppose it. I'm only one vote. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Marinelli, right there, and then you.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Joe Marinelli, 25 Brigham Street. So a gentleman talked about it requires a 2/3 majority for when you authorize borrowing. The motion does say borrowing. I know it's been said that we don't intend to borrow, but maybe to avoid something at the end of this, we could amend the motion to eliminate the words borrowing.
You want to try that, Mr. Gregory? Huh? You feel it doesn't need to be amended?
I trust your judgment.
You know, it is confusing, but I have never, I hate to say this, in 50 years, ever looked at an operating budget that required borrowing. So it's almost like superfluous language because the town will not be borrowing for that purpose. Can we accept that as an explanation? Okay. Mr. Marin, okay, you're coming back. The chair recognizes Mr. Marinelli.
Thank you. Just make it clean and take it out. Otherwise, you've got an open item there where someone could say it needed a 2/3 majority.
Okay.
I can make that motion? I'll move to amend the motion to remove the words borrowing.
Okay. Mr. Gillandrillo, sir, can the Finance Committee just make a quick motion to amend to eliminate the words "or borrowing"?
Okay. Give me a second. Article 4. Mr. Moderator, through you, Sam Calandra,
Yes.
Chairperson of the Finance Committee.
I move.
The committee moves to remove from the second line of Article 4 the phrase "by borrowing."
Okay, is that seconded? Read it, the entirety, or just the removal of the words "by borrowing" under Article 4? The Finance Committee's recommendation is the recommendation before you, but now they are amending it simply by taking out the words "by borrowing." Anything said specifically about that? Mr. Provencher, to make an explanation? Yes.
Justin Provencher, 1 Bradford Road. Question on that motion. By eliminating the word borrowing, would that eliminate our ability to temporarily borrow funds if necessary? No.
Mr. Gregory? Mr. Gregory says no. So now we have a simple motion to amend. We're going to take a real quick vote on that. All those in favor of the motion to eliminate the words "by borrowing" from Article 4, please raise your yellow card. All those opposed, please raise your yellow card. The motion is carried. It's the vote of the meeting, and I so declare it. Now, returning to discussion, we have, I believe, sir, you want to speak? Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. My name is Josh Raminsky, 25 Cortlandt Drive. I've been a very proud resident of Hudson for the past 11 years. Never once regretted choosing this community as the right place to raise my family. Just want to throw that out there. I do want to address a common argument that I've heard from one of our fellow Hudsonites tonight and even town leaders that are comparing school programs, staffing ratios, and other services we have now against those that existed over the past 10 to 15 years. Because what I have observed in my personal and professional life, like most of you, is that the world that we live in 2025, looks vastly different from even 2014 when we first moved into this community. Specifically, as a leader in the healthcare sector over the last 20 years, I have seen overwhelming evidence supporting the idea that behavioral health challenges among adolescents is sharply on the rise. Incidences of anxiety, depression, loneliness, suicidal ideation has been universally increasing among primary and secondary education students by anywhere from 30 to 40%, seeing its sharpest rise during the pandemic and continuing to rise today. I personally saw challenges with my own daughters who really struggled during the pandemic with being out of school for so long, which ultimately prompted my wife, Shauna, and I to make the decision back in 2021 to send them back to school as early as possible, and essentially gambling that the risk of our girls' mental health was greater than the exposure to COVID. I'm also aware, like most of you, that one of the biggest safety nets that protects and supports our kids is our schools and our school programs, which not only allow tremendous opportunities for kids to express themselves in meaningful ways, but prepares them for an increasingly complex world filled with new jobs in STEM, healthcare, biotechnology, which are precisely the programs under threat to be cut if we do not pass this override. So as I stand here in full support of this override, united with our incredible educators, who work so hard to keep our kids safe and well. My question, Mr. Moderator, is directed to our superintendent and other school leaders. If the override isn't passed and many of these key academic and extracurricular programs are eliminated, what will you do to keep our kids safe and well and adequately prepare them to take the reins and thrive in an increasingly complex world? Thank you.
With the school committee, Mr. Reagan, Dr. Reagan, address that.
Through you, Mr. Moderator, Brian
Yes.
Regan, 21 Alberta Drive, Superintendent of Schools. That's a very poignant question and a hard one to answer because the fewer adults that we have to wrap around our kids in schools, the less equipped we will be to provide them with the supports that they need. And the fewer adults we have in our schools, the fewer programs we'll have in the less diversity in programming to make sure that regardless of their interests, we have something for them that sets them up for success after high school. That said, I know there are a lot of Hudson Public Schools educators in the room who are heroes themselves, and they will do everything they can to protect our kids. I don't say that so that we can say the override isn't necessary, but I don't want people to feel that the schools will, that we will not have incredible people there to take care of our kids. There'll just be fewer of them, which would mean less support and fewer opportunities.
Sir?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Andrew Burnett, 10 Edgewood Drive. I would like to make a motion that we end discussion on this article and move to voting.
So you wish to move the previous, it's called moving the previous question.
Yep.
Is-
Yes,
is-
I would
is
like to
that
make a
seconded?
motion. Yes.
Second. It requires a 2/3 vote. I ever call for the vote? We're getting ahead of ourselves. All those in favor of moving the previous question, please raise your yellow card. All those opposed, please raise your yellow card. That motion is carried. The debate is now ended, and we will move on to the Finance Committee's recommendation of the subject matter of this article, which is to recommend it, the entire budget. All those in favor of the Finance Committee's recommendation, please raise your yellow card. All those opposed, please raise your yellow card. The motion is carried. It's the vote of the meeting, and I so declare it. Moving on to the next article. The next article is Article 5, Capital Plan, which by a previous vote has been voted to pass over. Moving over to Article 6. We've already had a motion to pass over that. Is that correct? Yes. That's correct. Okay. Article 7 has been moved to be passed over. Has already been voted to be passed over. Article 8, to see if the town will vote to appropriate the sum of $2,228,569 for the purpose of purchasing an aerial ladder truck and related equipment for the fire department, that to meet this appropriation, the treasurer, with the approval of the select board, is authorized to borrow the sum of $2,228,569 under General Laws, Chapter 44, Section 7.1, or any other enabling authority, and that the Select Board is authorized to take any other action necessary to carry out this project or take any other action relative thereto. And under Article 8, the Finance Committee recommends the adoption of the subject matter of this article. Chief, do you want to speak on this? Or Tom, Mr. Gregory?
There we go. The purpose of this article well, the article is a borrowing authorization, as you can see, but the purpose of the article is to give the town the opportunity to enter into a contract with Pierce Manufacturing and to place an order for a new aerial tower truck. There's no intent to actually issue any debt under this article, but it's a procedural step that allows the town to place the order, and then the plan is to finance this purchase over a lease finance purchase agreement over between 7 and 8 years with available funds or free cash.
Anything else to be said on the Finance Committee's recommendation? It requires borrowing, which requires a 2/3 vote. I'll now call for the vote. All those in favor of the Finance Committee's recommendation, raise your yellow card. All those opposed, raise your yellow card. I see more than 6. If it's a borrowing article, we have to have a standing teller count. I can't force you, but if you want to reconsider the negative votes, I will take that into consideration. So again, I'll call for all those opposed to the FinCom's recommendation, please raise your yellow card. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh yeah, definitely. So could I have 9 people up here to act as tellers? We have to have a standing teller count for any borrowing. You want to make a point of order, Mr. Lucy? Yeah. Oh, did you want to speak on? He's over there.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Moderator. Can the town clerk tell us the time of day that Article 4 passed, please? (9:28), thank you. I voted against Article 4, and I'm considering a reconsideration. Until what time do I have to make that motion if I were to make that motion?
1 hour.
1 hour? Thank you.
But you voted against?
Yes.
Then only somebody voting with the majority can make a motion.
Good. I'll find someone.
So could I have 9 people who can count to 10 without taking off their shoes and socks? This could be a little bit more lengthy than generally.
Yeah, I don't get this.
Are you kidding? We use everything. I have to think.
I think it's a 10%. I don't know, there's some minimum number to force it.
Ma'am, are you standing? I'm about to take a vote. Yes, can you please state it? Is there a problem with the microphone? Cam? Where's Cam?
Point of clarification, Mr. Moderator.
Yes.
Could you explain what's happening right now?
I am taking a vote for Article 8 on the fire department
Thank you.
new truck. Do I have pens? In order to take this vote, we need everybody in a seat so that we don't have any commotion. So before I call for the vote, please find a seat. We have to do this as orderly as possible. I know it's a challenge, but we are able to meet all our town meeting challenges. So I'm going to call for the vote. Everybody who has a division, another thing, all the people who are acting as tellers for this purpose, make sure you include one of your own vote. And if you're standing on the wall, your vote is not going to be counted. The only people who do not sit down are the constables, police officers, and the fire department people. They vote by raising their hand. Oh, good.
He has 9. Where'd he go? 9 is...
9 is Piero.
This one. Yeah, it's right here.
Okay.
Sure.
Sir, I forgot to tell you. Number 9 is everybody up front. And public safety people all the way over. Select board, Joan, if she wants to vote, I don't vote. Anybody who is public safety, it's not sitting. I've been telling you. For those who Joan is telling you what to do, please do it immediately. Oh, thank you. Are all our tellers know what position they should be in? So on Article 8, all those in favor, please stand and remain standing until your vote is counted by the teller, and please try to make eye contact with the teller.
Say go. Say go.
And as soon as your vote is taken by the teller, counted by the teller, please, you can sit down. Joan? All those opposed, are all the tellers at their positions? Except those who are out politicking? All those opposed to the Finance Committee's recommendation, please stand and remain standing until your vote is counted, and please try to make eye contact with the people who are taking the vote. Ladies and gentlemen, the result of the standing teller count is 655 in favor, 27 against. Needed for the two-thirds vote is 455. Therefore, the motion is carried. It's carried by the necessary two-thirds vote. It's the vote of the meeting, and I so declare it.
I think it was 655 to 27.
Brings us to Article 9, I believe. Yes. Yes.
Is this on now?
Yes.
Hi, Michelle Tuzinga Dufour, 12 Byron Street, former school committee member for 9 years here in Hudson. I would like to confirm that if there is a vote to reconsider Article 4, it needs to pass by two-thirds majority.
Correct. And it has to be a person who voted with the majority.
Correct. And also, if it does not pass a two-thirds majority to reconsider, it is closed for the night.
Yes, this can only be one motion to reconsider. And it has to be done within 1 hour of the final vote.
By my tally, we still have 30 minutes. So
Okay.
I would like to make a motion to reconsider Article 4, making sure people know that if you voted for Article 4, you need to vote against the article for reconsideration.
Okay. So are you making a motion to reconsider?
Yes,
And you voted with the majority?
I did.
And that's seconded. Anything? Excuse me? I can't hear you. Can you turn the microphone on?
No, okay, thank you. Just to reiterate, for everyone who's about to vote on the motion to reconsider, if you voted yes for Article 4, you want to vote no on the motion to reconsider. Thank you.
Okay.
No.
So all those in favor of the motion to reconsider, hold up your yellow cards. All those opposed, please hold up your yellow cards. The motion to reconsider is failed, denied. But we still have more work to do. Article 9. Yes. Yeah, if people are going to be leaving, can you leave as silently as possible? Otherwise, we'll have to delay the meeting. I know hanging around in a hot gym isn't the thing that people want to do, but we do have business that we need to do before, so we can adjourn the meeting sine die, which we know from our Latin 101 is without day. Sine without da, day. And that's as far as I got in Latin. I believe under Article 9, we move to pass over. So we have already voted on that. Article 10 is, I believe, another article that we voted to pass over. So Article 11. To see if the town will vote to appropriate the sum of $4,701,737 for use of the Water Department for fiscal year 2026, as shown more particularly below, and to fund said appropriation with a transfer from the receipts and revenue of the water fund Enterprise Fund collected by the Water Department for said fiscal year. Salary and wages, $981,728. Expenses, $1,897,550. Indirect costs, $921,802. Debt service costs, $900,658. To authorize indirect costs from fiscal year 2026 revenues for fiscal year 2026 at $921,802. And 3, to have the Select Board set the fiscal year 2026 rates and fees to meet said appropriation and level of indirect cost or take any other action relative thereto. And under Article 11, the Finance Committee recommends the adoption of the subject matter of this article. Is there anything to be said on the FinCom's recommendation under Article 11? If not, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor of the FinCom's recommendation, please raise your yellow card. All those opposed, please raise your yellow card. The motion is carried. It's the vote of the meeting, and I so declare it. Article 12, to see if the town will vote to appropriate the sum of $6,233,612 for use of the sewer department for fiscal year 2026, as shown more particularly below, and to fund said appropriation with a transfer from the receipts and revenue of the sewer enterprise fund collected by the sewer department for said fiscal year. Salary and wages, $502,172. Expenses, $2,590,800. Indirect cost, $848,234. Debt service costs, $2,292,406. And 2, to authorize indirect costs from fiscal year 2026 revenues for fiscal year 2026 at $848,234. 3, to have the Select Board set the fiscal year 2026 rates and fees to meet said appropriation and level of indirect costs or take any other action relative thereto. And under Article 12, the Finance Committee recommends adoption of the subject matter of the article. Is there anything to be said about the Finance Committee's recommendation? Again, if not, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please raise your yellow card. All those opposed, please raise your yellow card. The motion is carried. It's the vote of the meeting, and I so declare it. Article 13, to see if the town will vote the appropriation of the sum of $1,278,500 for the use of the Stormwater Department for fiscal year 2026, as shown more particularly below, and to fund said appropriation with a transfer from the receipts and revenue of the Stormwater Enterprise Fund collected by the Stormwater Department of said fiscal year. And if there are no objections, I'll dispense with a further reading of the article. And under Article 13, the Finance Committee recommends the adoption of the subject matter of the article. Anything to be said? All those in favor, please raise your yellow card. All those opposed, please raise your yellow card. The motion is carried. It's the vote of the meeting, and I so declare it. Article 14, to see if the town will vote to appropriate the sum of $210,000 from the overlay surplus to be expended by the Board of Assessors for the revaluation of properties in the town of Hudson in accordance with General Laws, Chapter 40, Section 56, Chapter 58, Sections 1 and 1A, and the regulations of the Department of Revenue, or take any other action relative thereto. And under Article 14, the Finance Committee recommends the adoption of the subject matter of this article. Anything to be said on that? Again, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please raise your yellow card. All those opposed, please raise your yellow card. The motion is carried. It's the vote of the meeting, and I so declare it. Article 15, to see if the town will vote to establish a health insurance stabilization fund for the purpose of reducing health insurance premium costs to the town under General Laws, Chapter 40, Section 5B, and further to vote to transfer the sum of $709,965 from the town's health insurance claims trust to be deposited in said stabilization fund or take any other action relative thereto. And under Article 15, the Finance Committee recommends the adoption of the subject matter of this article. Now, this is establish an appropriation from Health Insurance Stabilization Fund. It requires a 2/3 vote. Anything to be said on that? If not, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please raise your yellow card. All those opposed, please raise your yellow card. The motion is carried. It's carried by the necessary 2/3 vote. It's the vote of the meeting, and I so declare it. Article 16, to see if the town will vote to transfer from the Health Insurance Stabilization Fund the sum of $400,000, said sum to be transferred to the health insurance line in the town's operating budget for the purpose of reducing the town's FY 2026 appropriation for health insurance or take any other action relative thereto. And under Article 16, the Finance Committee recommends the adoption of the subject matter of this article. Again, it involves appropriation from the stabilization fund or transfer from it. Therefore, requires a 2/3 vote. All those in favor of the Finance Committee's recommendation, please raise your yellow card. All those opposed, please raise your yellow card. The motion is carried. It's the vote of the meeting. It's carried by the necessary 2/3 vote, and I so declare it. Article 17, to see if the town will vote to appropriate the following expenditures from the PEG Access and Cable Related Fund for the fiscal years beginning on July 1, 2025, in accordance with the General Laws, Chapter 44, Section 53F and 3/4. HUD Access Television Studio, HUD salaries, $228,478. HUD-TV operational expenses, $72,647. Town Internet Networking, INET salaries, 0. INET operating expenses, $131,000, or take any other action relative thereto. And now Article 17, the Finance Committee recommends the adoption of the subject matter of the article. Anything to be said on that? If not, again, a call for the vote. Majority vote. All those in favor, please raise your yellow card. All those opposed, please raise your yellow card. The motion is carried, the vote of the meeting, and I so declare it. Article 18 has been moved to be passed over, has already been voted. Article 19 has been moved to be passed over. Article 20 has been moved to be passed over. Going through these like a bat out of hell. I shouldn't speak now. I should never have said that. I'm sorry. You know what comes next. We're here at 1:45. Fortunately, we only had the hall rented until midnight. Article 21 has been moved to be passed over. Article 22, to see if the town will vote to authorize the Select Board to submit a proposed special act to the General Courts of the Commonwealth to amend the Charter of the Town of Hudson, which is on file in the Office of the Archivist of the Commonwealth, as follows, or take any other action relative thereto. An act amending the Charter of the Town of Hudson, Section 1, Section 1(2) of the Article 1 of the Charter of the Town of Hudson, which is on file in the Office of the Archivist of the Commonwealth, is hereby amended by striking out the words executive assistant and inserting in place thereof the following words, town manager. And then in your hand warrant, there are like 33 additional sections which are repeating almost verbatim all the same to change the charter to the wording town manager. And if there are no objections, I'll dispense with a reading. And for the last time, I will say, even if there is an objection, I will not read them. The last time I get to say that. And under Article 22, The Finance Committee recommends adoption of the subject matter of this article. I think Mr. Parent, did you want to speak on that? They told me you did.
Dan, is somebody speaking
Huh?
first?
You will, okay, yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to speak real quick on that. All it is a name change. The duties, according to the charter, will not change at all. And it came up when we did a search for the new executive assistant at the time. The company that we used suggested that executive assistant really is not used almost anywhere. So it is going to be hopefully it will be town manager. Nothing changes other than the title. Everything that you see in here is just changing it in the charter. So I just want to make that clear.
Mr. Parent.
Harity. And I also want to thank you for your contribution to the town of Hudson. 50 years of service. Well done, Richard.
Good, thank you.
Well done. You're very welcome. Thank you, Scott. I appreciate your saying that. And I'm just going to reiterate real quick. 100% correct. No change in authority, responsibility, anything. I was the chairman of the search committee for the last two executive assistant search committees. First one, we came up with Mr. Moses, and the second one, Tom. There were two issues that the consultant had that we knew were going to be a detriment to the hiring process. One was the residency requirement, which we overturned in May of 2021. And the second one was the name. There were 351 cities and towns in the state of Massachusetts. There are 296 towns. There is one executive assistant out of that 296. So what happens is Tom, or if somebody calls on his behalf to the state, to a department that doesn't deal, that much with individuals, and they question. Mr. Moses told me he had to actually send a copy of the charter to some people in the state house because they didn't know what the hell a executive assistant was. So it's in addition to the fact that executive assistant is totally out of place as far as what his responsibilities are, then there's practical reasons as well. So I would urge you to vote for this very simple change. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Anything else? Somebody's anticipating. This is a majority vote. Our state representative likes to know the quantum of the vote, but you may make it unanimous if you wish, and we can report out to her that it was adopted unanimously if you wish. All those in favor of the FinCom's recommendation, please raise your yellow card. All those opposed, please raise your yellow card. The motion is carried. It's carried unanimously. It's the vote of the meeting, and I so declare it. Article 23, to see if the town will vote to amend all applicable provisions of the Town of Hudson general bylaws, thereby changing all references from Office of the Executive Assistant to Office of the Town Manager, and all references from Executive Assistant to Town Manager, or take any other action relative thereto. And under Article 23, the Finance Committee recommends adoption of the subject matter of this article. Anything to be said on that? This is just changing the town bylaws. It doesn't go before the state. It's a simple majority vote. All those in favor of the FinCom's recommendation, please raise your yellow card. All those opposed, please raise your right yellow card. The motion is carried. It's the vote of the meeting, and I so declare it. Article 24, to see if the town will vote to amend the general bylaws as follows, or take any other action relative thereto. 1, by establishing a new Article 13 entitled Non-Recyclable Plastic Reduction Bylaw to read as follows. Article 13, Non-Recyclable Plastic Reduction Bylaw. Section 1, Statement of Purpose. If there are no objections, I'll move down to 1.4. It is the intent of the Town of Hudson, acting through its Board of Health, to eliminate the use of foam, polystyrene, black solid polystyrene, and black plastic in food serviceware and packaging by all food and retail establishments within the town by January 1, 2026. This bylaw further seeks to promote the use of less toxic, more durable, reusable, recyclable, biodegradable, and/or compostable alternatives. And then Section 2 is 14 definitions. Section 3 concerns regulated conduct. Section 4 are the exemptions. Section 5 are enforcement and penalties. Section 6 is interaction with other laws. Section 7 is severability. Section 8 is the effective date. And this bylaw will take effect on January 1st, 2026. And then it gives the penalties. And at this time, in your hand warrant, it says the Finance Committee recommends the adoption of the subject matter of this article. However, there were 3 negative votes. In order for the Finance Committee to make a recommendation, there can only be 2 negatives. So at this time, I rule that there is no recommendation on this article one way or the other. Mr. Green?
I make a motion, the adoption of the subject matter of this article.
Okay, is that seconded? Seconded, okay. Is there anything to be discussed on it? Article 24? Yes. Lauren?
Good evening, everyone. Lauren Antonelli, Director of Public and Community Health for the Town of Hudson, also a resident at 3 Orchard Drive. Speaking on behalf of the Board of Health tonight, the Board of Health is sponsoring this article due to significant health and environmental concerns. The items that we are asking restaurants and retailers to replace with easily available alternatives that are not recyclable. The types of containers that we are proposing to be replaced are known to leach hazardous chemicals into their contents, particularly when used for transporting hot food or reheating food. Many restaurants and retailers in town are already in compliance with some or all of the measures in this proposed article, and similar regulations are in effect in more than 40 countries, 13 states, and 62 cities and towns here in Massachusetts, including our neighbor Maynard. The Board of Health actively sought input from town licensed food vendors during listening sessions and surveys prior to deciding whether to support this article, and the Board of Health will provide guidance to affected businesses in the 7 months before implementation if passed tonight.
Anything else to be said about that motion? Yes, Mr. McCoy.
Mr. Moderator, Tom McCoy, 25 Richardson Road. I have 2 problems with this thing. I think it's a great article, except for it's going to add extra costs to the businesses, and also the people who sponsor this, the Board of Health, in the exemption section, they're the ones who are going to enforce the regulation. I think that's wrong. I think it should be an outside body of the sponsor. Thank you.
Okay. Anything else to be said on the motion to recommend the subject matter of the article? Ma'am, yes.
I could just say one thing, which is that in 2019, we passed the plastic bag ban, and since that time, the Board of Health has not asked anybody to pay a fine. It's all been warnings and then helping to work with them. So that's what their intent is. That's what they're going to continue to do. So I think they're the perfect body because they care about the businesses very much and know how to work with them.
Ms. Lucy?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Moderator. Fred Lucy, 18 Ridge Road.
Can we get the microphone?
Fred Lucy, 18 Ridge Road. In terms of the users or vendors, were Stop and Shop, Shaw's, Market Basket, and BJ's included in that survey?
Yes. Okay.
Yes, anyone that holds a permit through the Board of Health as a food retailer was included. So from the smallest businesses, restaurants, to the bigger chains like the grocery stores, Market Basket, BJ's, Starbucks, etc.
Okay. Sir?
David Cashel, 54 Wilkins Street. Thank you very much. Guys, Florida's getting this right. They're banning plastic straws. They're banning plastic takeout containers. Some of these bans are statewide. Some of these bans are just local. But I think we can be better than Florida and just get this thing passed. Thank you.
Sir?
Hi, yeah, my name is Aaron Labar. I live at 113 Central Street in Hudson here. And I am just looking at this, thinking about the penalties, and they're actually kind of soft, if you ask me. One, a lot of our great restaurants are using the good, recyclable, biodegradable stuff anyway. And I think, I don't know, it's preferable to me. And two, none of this cost isn't going to be a large burden on any of these businesses in our town in a way that's more impactful than any of the trash that we see lying in the middle of the road anyway, which definitely I think this will help address as well.
Okay. Anything else to be said about the motion to adopt the subject matter of the article? It's a majority vote. All those in favor, please raise your yellow card. All those opposed, please raise your yellow card. The motion is carried. It's the vote of the meeting, and I so declare it. Article 25, to see if the town will vote to appropriate or reserve from the Community Preservation annual revenues in the amounts recommended by the Community Preservation Committee for committee administration expenses and other expenses in fiscal year 2026, with each item to be considered a separate appropriation. Appropriations from FY 2026 estimated for committee administrative expenses, $14,710. Reserves from FY 26 estimated revenues for historic resources reserve, $73,548.20 from FY 26 estimated revenues for community housing reserve, $73,548.20. FY 2026 estimated revenues for open space reserve, $73,548.20. FY 2026 estimated revenues for budgeted general reserve, $500,127.40, or take any other action relative thereto. And under Article 25, the Finance Committee recommends the adoption of the subject matter of this article. Anything to be said on the Finance Committee's recommendation under Article 25? If not, a call for the vote. All those in favor, please raise your yellow card. All those opposed, please raise your yellow card. The motion is carried. It's the vote of the meeting, and is so declare it. Article 26, to see if the town will vote to appropriate from community preservation available funds the following amounts recommended by the Community Preservation Committee for community preservation projects in fiscal year 2026, with each item to be considered a separate appropriation. $3,800 from undesignated fund balance to the Hudson Land Trust and Conservation Commission for Old North Road signage. $10,000 from undesignated fund balance to the Park Commission Recreation for Lamson Park Trips Pond survey work. $25,000 from undesignated fund balance to the Hudson Land Trust and Conservation Commission for design services for trail improvements at Danford Falls Conservation Land. $280,000 from undesignated fund balance to the Park Commission Recreation for construction of a dog park or take any other action relative thereto. And the Finance Committee recommends the adoption of the subject matter of this article. Is there anything to be said on the Article 26? Ma'am? Yep.
Diane Millette, 21 Cayuga Drive.
Yes.
Although I'm not a lifelong resident, for the last 12 years, I certainly have immersed myself in the community by volunteering in the schools and attending meetings to try to be informed. Volunteering as a board member of the Hudson Youth Football and Cheer, Jeans Gymnastics, as well as attending school events, athletic events, theater events, and occasionally subbing as athletic trainer. And I'm married to a lifelong resident, but I'm pretty sure my taxes are still the same. I'd like to make an amendment to take the line item of the $280,000 from undesignated fund balance to the Park Commission Recreation for the construction of a dog park as a separate vote.
So you want to set that aside?
Correct.
Okay. Is that seconded? Okay. So we are going to set that part aside, and then we can take a vote on the remainder of that article. All those in favor, other than the set aside, motion to set aside, all those in favor of the remaining part of the article, please raise your yellow card. All those opposed, please raise your yellow card. All right, that part of the article has been passed. So would you like to speak? We still have a valid FinCom. You just set it aside to be discussed. But now we have to take a vote on the FinCom's recommendation. Do you want to talk about it some more?
I would like to talk when we vote on the dog park.
Yeah, that's what we're doing right now. Yeah.
Speaking on the dog park part, as I understood it all along attending meetings, that I was told that the dog park would be funded fully through grants, and that does not seem to be the case now.
Mrs. Santos?
Good evening, Stephen Santos, 25 Avon Drive, Recreation Director here in Hudson. Mr. Moderator, if that is what was just stated is not factual. The Park Commission Recreation Department has been working on this project since 2017. In 2018, we brought consultants in, we did a community survey. We asked the community what they'd like to see here in Hudson. I don't sit at my office, Mr. Moderator, and make decisions. I base our decisions, and the Park Commission bases their decisions on the wants and needs of the community. At that time, many years ago, the community told us that they'd like to see a dog park. We didn't initially jump on it. COVID came through, happened in 2022. We started to talk about this project a bit more, and the project moved to the point where we found grant funds. And yes, we told the community we can complete this project with grant funds. There were 2 grant funds and 2 grant opportunities through the Stanton Foundation, Mr. Moderator, that we applied for. The first was a design grant that paid for the design of the dog park. The bulk of the design work took place in the year 2024. We wrapped up that design work in December, and as we were wrapping up that design work, we then went back to the Stanton Foundation and requested grant funding to fund the construction of the dog park. We knew going into this, and it's posted on the town website under our plans and projects page, we tried to be as transparent as we could, that the grant was only available to us in an amount up to, if awarded, $250,000. The project estimated construction cost is $530,000. April of 2025, a month ago, we received confirmation from the Stanton Foundation that they would award the town, and they're committed to giving the town of Hudson $250,000 towards this project. Previous to that, we had gone to CPC knowing that, or anticipating that we'd get the grant, that we needed to fund another $280,000. We went to the Community Preservation Committee. They voted favorably to bring this to town meeting. And before you tonight, you as residents get to decide whether or not you want this for our community. It's not my decision. I am a resident, and yes, I will have a vote, but it's the decision here tonight. The important note here is that the Stanton Foundation is moonlighting. It is going away. I'm not saying this as a threat, Mr. Moderator, that we need to vote today, but the reality is, if we do not take advantage of these grant funds that are available currently and through June 30th, 2025, we will not be able to access those funds moving forward. So it's unlikely, because we are not sure where we'd get $250,000 to complete the project if the grant funds aren't available to us after July 1. We have to also contribute to this. That is part of the grant requirement. So hopefully, Mr. Moderator, I explained that. I have never stated, nor has our department, that this would be completely grant funded. We have said consistently that grants are available to fund a large portion of the project. Thank you.
Okay. Anything else to be said on the, oh, you want to
May I
speak
ask
for
a
the second time? Yes.
Second question? Sure.
Second time, yes.
Okay. Diane Millette, 21 Cayuga Drive. Through you, Mr. Moderator, can we just confirm that the committee decided that the best spot for this dog park was at Sauter Field, a place where youth sports takes place, limited parking, and needs an awful lot of work? Can we just get that confirmed?
Mr. Santos for an explanation.
Absolutely, Mr. Moderator. I'm happy to share that. So initially, when we brought in our consultant to design the park, we looked at two locations. One was Farina Field in Hudson, Mass. The other one was Sauter Field, Sauter Athletic Fields off of Main Street, okay? They went through the process. They came to the Park Commission. There was a public meeting held at the DPW Police Building, a community meeting. Members, many abutters came to that meeting. They spoke about the project, the likes, dislikes. At that meeting, those residents said, "Are you sure you've examined all properties available to implement and build this dog park?" The consultant was then asked to go out, and we looked at a portion of property that's technically owned by the Cemetery Commission, Mr. Moderator, by what we call Intel Field off of Technology Drive. We looked at property immediately adjacent to the rail trail, and we looked at one other location, which is slipping my mind at the moment. After that process, they came back to the Park Commission, the consultant did. They met with us, and they recommended that Sauter was the best location based on available spots in the community. The Park Commission decided at that time to move forward, and that's when the final design process began.
Okay. Ma'am?
Sarah Frost, 2 Edith Road, Hudson, Mass. I have a question through you, Mr. Moderator, about the average cost of a dog park. I'm not a dog park expert, but a quick Google is large dog park is $500K. So I'm just wondering, would we be able to have a dog park at all if this doesn't pass? Or could we have a smaller dog park that is still nice, still used by our community, but doesn't spend more money from our account?
Okay. Mr. Santos?
Mr. Moderator, thank you. In response to the question, it is my duty and responsibility to the town of Hudson to ensure whenever we build or improve a facility for the community, that we do so that it includes accessible pathways if we have walkways, handicap parking if we need parking. Specific to the dog park, we need fencing, we need water. There are specific things that we require or we should implement to make it safe for the users, both humans and the dogs, that are going to be at that facility. We do our part to, again, provide the best experience and the safest experience. There has been discussion, well, why can't you just put up a fence for $60,000? Well, we could, but is it going to be accessible? Are we going to have a water connection? Where are people parking? All of these things have been considered as part of this project, and we believe that at this time, this is the best location that we can offer the community for this type of program. Thank you.
Ma'am?
Shauna Weston, 25 Cortland Drive. So I think I similarly had a misunderstanding that it was going to be fully grant funded. And I guess one question I have is, if there's one grant that's paying for about half of it, has there been any other grants looked at to subsidize further before asking the taxpayers for this? And I also want to mention this in the context of, I'm someone who brought forward a citizens petition a few years ago in order to get money that we stated we would not need for the Forest Ave playground if we did in fact receive a grant. We did receive that grant. That playground cost $90,000, which was completely raised by fundraising, by parents, by donations, by grants. And I just want us to think about the fact that we do not even put playground replacement once every 25, 30 years into budgets for our children. Parents in the community has to fundraise for that. And we're doing like a $500,000 dog park. So that's something I just like people to think about for the future.
Ma'am?
Hi, Marilyn McKellar, Rock Avenue. I just didn't understand. I'm kind of confused. So, and I love a dog. Don't yell at me. We have to spend $250,000 of town money to get $280,000 or to get $250,000 grant? Is that what we're doing? We're spending $280,000 to get $250,000? Is that what it is?
For an explanation, Steve?
Mr. Moderator, no, the request before town meeting tonight is to utilize $280,000 of CPC, Community Preservation Funds, to fund a portion of the estimated total construction cost of the dog park. The total estimated construction cost is $530,000.
But we're
$250,000 would be of that, Mr. Moderator, would be funded via the grant that the Stanton Foundation has committed to awarding to the town of Hudson. And the remaining balance, the $280,000, is what we're asking for approval on tonight.
But that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
We're spending $280,000 to get $250,000. Right?
Is that?
Yeah.
Yes.
No.
That seems weird. I don't know.
Ma'am?
Kathy Adams, 81 Hunter Ave. Just a question. Can that $250,000 be used for something else in the recreation department, or can it only be used for the dog park?
The $250,000 coming from the Stanton Foundation is specific to dog parks. There are two categories that they fund for canine health. One is police dogs, and I believe our police department has benefited from that program. The other one is dog parks specific to Massachusetts. So the answer is no, unfortunately.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Bahowski?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Greg Bahowski, 6 Wood Street. The only way your taxes are ever going to go down is not to spend money that's not necessary. We spent a lot of time tonight passing a large amount of money for necessities. This, I believe, is a nicety and not even one that will benefit the majority of people in town because they're not dog owners. However, I urge you to vote against this article. Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Moderator.
Ma'am? Yeah.
Alexander's 97 Hunter Avenue. Could I get a point of clarification? It's my understanding this money is already collected by the town because it's CPC money. Is that not correct? It's not new money.
Mr. Santos?
Mr. Moderator, if I could make a statement in response to that question. Community preservation funds are generated each year through an existing surcharge on property taxes, as well as matching funds received by the state of Massachusetts incoming to the town. CPC funds can only be used for historic preservation, affordable housing, and open space and recreation.
Thank you. So that, in my opinion, that seems like a totally appropriate use of CPC money.
Mr. Parent?
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Harity. John Perrin, I'm chairman of the CPC. Just a couple of quick points. First of all, the use of the funds for a dog park is a legitimate use of CPC money. Number two, I normally don't give out what the actual vote was when we do take a vote at CPC. But I think it's important to let people know that we had a vote of 5 for, 3 against. So this was not a unanimous decision. And unlike the Finance Committee, our 5 to 3 is valid. So we could make the recommendation. I personally voted for it, not necessarily because I was a strong advocate of the dog park itself, neither for nor against. My feeling was that there was enough interest over a long period of time that a lot of people in Hudson wanted a dog park. Again, legitimate use, and I felt this was the perfect example of put it on the warrant article, put it out at town meeting, you decide. So totally your choice. If a majority wants it, fine. If you don't, fine. But now this has come up year after year after year. Your choice. Thank you.
Mr. Provencher?
Justin Provencher, 1 Bradford Road. One comment in regards to utilizing CPC funds is that if we don't spend it for the dog park, you have those funds available to spend for some other purpose down the road. So I just want to have that as a clarification that people aren't pushed to vote for something because we have the funds, because again, we can use it for something else. That being said, I'd like to ask a question through you, Mr. Moderator, is what is the plan for the cost associated with the park once it's complete? Who's going to pay for those operating expenses to take care of things? And as part of that, I know, as we discussed in the override tonight, that if the town services portion of the override wasn't passed, there's certain areas of the town government that would have to be cut. And so if we're already putting pressure on the DPW and other services, what's there available to actually take care of that dog park if it is put together? Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Santos, do you have an answer to that specific question?
Sure, thank you. There is a cost associated with building a dog park. I'm not here to lie, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. We estimate that on an annual basis that to be somewhere around the $5,000 mark. We are in the process, and the grant does recommend, not require, recommend that we try to develop a Friends of group to help with fundraising, maintenance. There's specific tasks that they list out. We have a core group of residents that we've been engaging with who are very interested in this. Hopefully they're here tonight. But they have informed us that they are willing to work with us to help generate funds to put towards this dog park. But yes, there is a cost. Mr. Moderator, if I may just add that if I never asked town meeting to vote on a new project or capital expenditure to better the community because of the fear of an increased cost, then we would be going backwards and not forwards. I urge town meeting tonight to support this. Thank you.
Sir?
Point of clarification. So if we've already spent money on this dog park, and we've received a grant for basically half the cost of the dog park, would we be building a totally sweet dog park with like the whole $500,000, or would we be like deferring that to a slightly more lame dog park in the future? Mr.
Santos again?
I'll make it quick. If this does not pass tonight, I feel confident that the dog park may not come to fruition here in Hudson for quite some time. Funding mechanisms and sources are hard to come by. This is one that we feel has a huge impact and where we can get this project off the ground. But if it doesn't pass here tonight, the project, in the funds that we've spent to design it, will probably sit on a shelf for a little while until we decide if we can fund it by other means.
Okay. Mr. Lucy?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Moderator. Fred Lucy, 18 Ridge Road. I recall when...
Can you get his microphone on? Cam?
When, a number of years ago, as a previous speaker indicated, a citizen petition was voted in order to rebuild the Forest Ave Park. And I think it was 20,000. We just heard tonight it cost 90,000, but they raised it all themselves, and I applaud that group. In fact, if CPC could allow it, I wouldn't mind having this 280,000 dedicated to further improvements of playgrounds at every school. As it relates to this 280,000, there were a number of years ago when the Armory was in play, and people called me and said, but 93% of the citizens want this. No, 93% of the citizens who got involved, which was about 800 people, wanted it. I just question how many people really want a dog park. And as a previous speaker said, most people don't have dogs. And I don't know if people on the west side of Hudson are going to drive all the way to the east side. I'm against this 280,000 expenditure. Thank you, Mr. Moderator.
Anything else to be said? Ma'am?
I was just looking up...
Your name and address?
B. Petrovic, 3 Bush Road. I was just looking up the average cost of a dog park, and it says anywhere, and it's AI generated, so forgive me, anywhere from $10,000 to $500,000. We are talking about a $530,000 park. So I'm just curious, you're getting $250,000. Could you make a dog park for $300,000 because other people can? Is there some step in between where we can have a dog park but not that much from our budget? Thank you.
Okay. Sir?
Hi. Yeah, hello. So I just kind of wanted to add to the comment that how many people have dogs. I happily voted for the school budget. I do not have kids. I do not plan to have kids. I have a bit of pride in Hudson, and I do have a dog. I felt that the dog park would be a value add to this community. It's partially the reason that I did want to move here. So I just really want you to consider that if you might not have dogs, that the rest of us who do view that the community is better for having better schools. I also view that a dog park would be an improvement over a fallow field with rusting fences and baseball diamonds. Thank you.
Okay. Did, Mr. Sanchez, did you want to make a specific explanation of something, or do you want a further comment?
Explanation to the prior question about can we downgrade and build a smaller dog park. The Stanton Foundation, in order for us to receive those $250,000, we need to commit funds towards this project. And right now, this is, unfortunately, maybe fortunately, our only option to do so.
Sir, speaking for the second time.
Kostas Frost, 2 Edith Road. Point of order in regards to a previous speaker. Generative AI should not be used to determine fiscal measures, especially because it's prone to hallucination, especially involving statistics and math.
If somebody referenced you in particular, it should have been rolled out of order. I didn't catch the particular nuance at the time. Anything, sir?
Jake Carmen, 4 Fallsbrook Road. I was a question on approximately how much revenue is goes into the CPC fund annually?
Do you have the answer? How much specific revenue goes into this fund? Okay.
Approximately.
Mr. Gregory, do you have the answer to that? No? Well, John Parent. Mr. Parent for an explanation.
Yeah, we get approximately 800,000 per year.
Thank you.
That goes into the fund.
Okay, sir, there.
Adam Tracy, 6 Nixon Road. Just a point of inquiry. How many dog licenses are issued annually in Hudson? That's right.
Joan said about 2,600.
Thank you.
Okay. Sir?
Jeremy Daly, 15 Brook Street. I live across from the Sauda Cornfield soccer fields, and right now it serves as the unofficial dog park in Hudson, which can cause problems for the children that do play soccer for Hudson Youth Soccer. I think that having a dedicated dog park would be a decent thing to at least preserve the sanctity of the soccer field for our children. Thank you.
Ma'am?
Katrina Cuddy, Priest Street. Can I request, Mr. Moderator, that we cease discussions?
Excuse me, move the question?
Move the question, please.
Okay, is that seconded? Okay, requires a 2/3 vote. All those in favor of moving the previous question, raise your cards. All those opposed, raise your cards. Passes by the necessary 2/3 vote. Therefore, we will go straight to the question before you, which is to vote for the $280,000 from undesignated fund balance to the Park Commission Recreation for construction of a dog park. All those in favor of that motion, please raise your yellow card. All those opposed, please raise your yellow card. The motion is defeated. Therefore, nothing else on that article to come before. We now move to...
Mr. Moderator?
Yes.
Can I call for a standing count?
Yes, you may.
Thank you.
Do we have... I believe definitely there was seven or more. Okay. Can I have my tellers up here? Hope you haven't lost your clipboards, and hopefully you haven't gone home. Yeah, so let's grab somebody else. Who wants to be number one? and include your own vote. If everybody will get into a seat, we can now take the vote. All those in favor of the motion to spend $280,000 from the undesignated fund balance to the Park Commission Recreation for construction of a dog park, please stand and remain standing until your vote is taken. This is 4. All those in favor of building the dog park. 3, 4, 5. On section 5, the person who was counting has not only left, but left with a clipboard. You don't have to have a clip, you just have to have somebody who has more smarts than I did. So we have a fill-in teller. She's right there with the white hair. and I better be good to her or I'm walking home. So in section 5, she's gonna win. For all those in favor, please stand and remain standing until your vote is taken by her, and please try to make eye contact. She didn't get the... Ma'am. People who are walking around, you have to be in a chair. We can't have people walking all over the place and then claim, oh, they didn't count me. Or they counted me twice, and who's on third base? I can tell you right now, I don't know who's on third base. So all those opposed of the motion to spending the money on the dog park, please stand and remain standing until your vote is counted. The result of the standing teller count: in favor, 133, against 103. Therefore, the motion is carried. It's the vote of the meeting, and I so declare it. Article, that concludes action on Article 26. Article 27, to see if the town will vote to appropriate and transfer the sum of $73,548.20 from the Community Preservation Reserve for Community Housing Fund balance to the Municipal Affordable Housing Trust Fund, or take any other action relative thereto. And under Article 27, the Finance Committee recommends the adoption of the subject matter of this article. Anything to be said in the FinCom's recommendation? Not, again, a call for the vote. All those in favor, please raise your yellow card. All those opposed, please raise your yellow card. The motion is carried. It's the vote of the meeting, and I so declare it. Article 28, to see if the town will appropriate from Community Preservation Undesignated Fund balance the sum of $98,500 to pay the annual Centennial Beach Bond debt service recommended by the Community Preservation Committee for the beach renovation project, or take any other action relative thereto. And under Article 28, the Finance Committee recommends adoption of the subject matter of this article. Anything to be said on that? Again, a call for the vote. All those in favor, please raise your yellow card. All those opposed, please raise your yellow card. The motion is carried. It's the vote of the meeting, and I so declare it. Article 29, to see if the town will vote to appropriate the sum of $726,540, said sum to be utilized to offset the cost of operating and maintaining a joint police and fire dispatch system through June 30, 2026, and such sum to be offset in the aggregate by the estimated receipts from the public safety fees paid by the Highland Commons Shopping Center, all in accordance with the provisions of General Laws, Chapter 44, Section 53E, as authorized in Article 14 of the Town Meeting of May 2, 1988, or take any other action relative thereto. And Article 29, the Finance Committee recommends the adoption of the subject matter of the article. Again, anything to be said? If not, call for the vote. All those in favor, please raise your yellow card. All those opposed, please raise your yellow card. The motion is carried. It's the vote of the meeting, and I so declare it. Article 30, which has already been enacted on, and there's a motion to pass over. Article 31 is the departmental revolving funds, to see if the town will vote to fix the maximum amount that may be spent during fiscal year 2026, beginning on July 1, 2025, for the revolving funds established in the town bylaws by certain departments, boards, committees, agencies, or offices in accordance with General Laws, Chapter 44, Section 53E and a half, as follows. Hazardous material, $20,000, fire alarm, $30,000, infiltration and inflow, $400,000, inspection services, $200,000, department professional development, $20,000. Senior citizens programs, $75,000. Public health inspection, $75,000. Tobacco control, $15,000. Curbside pickup, $875,000. Affordable housing, $60,000. Farmers market, $20,000. Shared public health services, $20,000. Vaccination program, $20,000. Or take any other action relative thereto. And under Article 31, the Finance Committee recommends subject matter of the article. Anything to be said? All those in favor, please raise your yellow card. All those opposed, please raise your yellow card. The motion is carried. It's the vote of the meeting, and I so declare it. Article 32, to see if the town will appropriate the receipts of the Light and Power Department for the operation, maintenance, expenses, and repairs and construction for the department of the fiscal year ending June 30, 2026, as defined in Section 57 and 58, Chapter 164 of the General Laws of Massachusetts, and thereafter amended, and that if there shall be any unexpended balance as of December 31, 2025, an amount not to exceed $225,000 of the same shall be transferred to the Light and Power surplus account, or take any action relative thereto. Anything to be said? If not, all those in favor, please raise your yellow card. All those opposed, please raise your yellow card. The motion is carried. It's the vote of the meeting, and I so declare it. Article 33 has already, I believe, been passed over. Article 34, to see if the town will vote to accept the following boards, committees, and commissions holding adjudicatory hearings in the town, the provisions of General Laws, Chapter 39, Section 23D, which provided that a member of a board, committee, or commission holding an adjudicatory hearing shall not be disqualified from voting in the matter solely due to the member's absence from one session of such hearing, provided that certain conditions as established by said statute are met, such as certifying that examination of all evidence received at the missed session, including an audio or video recording of the missed session or a transcript thereof, or take any other action relative thereto. Affected boards are commissions and commissions: Board of Health, Conservation Commission, Historic District Commission, Planning Board, Select Board, and Zoning Board of Appeals. And under Article 34, the Finance Committee recommends the adoption of the subject matter of the article. Anything to be said? If not, call for the vote. All those in favor of the FinCom's recommendation, please raise your yellow card. All those opposed, please raise your yellow card. It's the vote of the meeting, and I so declare it. Article 35, to see if the town will vote to accept the town's annual report and file same with the permanent records of the town, or to take any action relative thereto. And under Article 35, the Finance Committee recommends adoption of the subject matter of this article. Now, this is going to be the last time I'm ever going to be able to do this. All those in favor of the Finance Committee's recommendation, say aye. Aye. Anybody who doesn't want to hear the town report, say nay. The motion is carried. It's the vote of the meeting, and I so declare it. Simple things for simple people. Article 36, to see if the town will vote to amend the general bylaw, Section 60, Administrative Service Group, subsection 6.3, Finance Committee, item A, term of office, by inserting the line in bold below. Term of office. There shall be a I'll just read what is in bold below. And on the next page it says, members absent from 3 consecutive meetings may be deemed to have resigned and may be removed by a 2/3 vote of the other members present and voting. You know, and it says, or take any action relative thereto. And under Article 36, the Finance Committee recommends adoption of the subject matter of this article. Is there anything to be said on the Finance Committee's recommendation on Article 36? If not, call for the vote. All those in favor of the FinCom's recommendation, raise your yellow card. All those opposed, please raise your yellow card. The motion is carried. It's the vote of the meeting, and I so declare it. Article 37, to see if the town will vote to take from available funds the sum of $20,000 to assist the Addiction Referral Center in Marlborough in its effort to provide assistance to persons from Hudson and surrounding communities who have problems with alcohol and/or substance use disorder. Said funds to be expended under the direction of the Executive Assistant and the Select Board, or take any other action relative thereto. And under Article 37, the Finance Committee recommends the subject matter of this article.
Mr. Moderator.
Mr. Lucy.
Thank you. Fred Lucy, 18 Ridge Road. Petition is moved to pass over this Article 37, $20,000 for the Addiction Referral Center.
Is that second? And I believe the reason it's passed over, again, it says
yes,
take from available
because
funds.
it was a petitioner's motion, article. It cannot be lumped in with the other town articles that have been moved to June 16th, special town meeting. We have collected over 100 signatures that allow a petitioner to come before a special town meeting. that will be delivered to the town clerk's office tomorrow morning at 8:30 in order to be certified in time for the select board's noontime meeting of the warrant articles for June 16th. Thank you, Mr. Moderator.
Okay. So we understand what's going on with that. So this is technically a motion to amend. So all those in favor of that motion to amend, please raise your yellow card. So the amendment carries. Now we just have to have a vote on the final, which in effect is passing over. All those in favor of the motion to pass over, please raise your yellow card. All those opposed, please raise your yellow card. The motion is carried. It's the vote of the meeting, and I so declare it. Anybody want to do an Article 38? There has been a motion to made and adjourned. As you know, it is non-debatable, but I just will leave you with the last words of what was presented to you, that we are here to make sure that government of the people, by the people, and for the people shall not perish from the earth. Words to live by. Thank you very much. All those in favor of the motion to adjourn, please say aye. Aye. Anybody who wants to stay behind and help the cleanup crew clean up, say nay. It's 321 to 1. So the motion is carried. The vote of the meeting. This meeting stands adjourned. Thank you all very much.